I was reborn on the eve of my wedding. This time, I didn't delete the text message his white moonlight sent to Gu Shouyuan. In my past life, even as he pulled the plug on me, he was still blaming me. If you hadn't deleted Zuro's message to me, why would she have been heartbroken and married someone else while carrying my child? A full 18 years. You kept me separated from her and my child for 18 years. I'm not going to be foolish enough to marry a scumbag again, and of course, I won't tell him the child isn't his. That day, his one that got away sent the same message to 5 different guys, just to see who'd be willing to be the sucker. 1. Gu Shouyuan and I grew up together in the same compound. He was exceptionally bright from a young age and was admitted directly to medical school at just 16. I wasn't too shabby either. I aced the national entrance exam, coming in first and being the biggest dark horse that year. Childhood sweethearts. We even ended up assigned to the same hospital after graduation. Everyone thought we were meant to be. I feel the same way. Ever since I was 16, I've dreamed of marrying him. That dream came true. Not long after I started working, our families began planning our wedding. While trying on clothes the day before the wedding, I was holding his phone when a text from Lin Shiwero suddenly came through. Can we meet? I miss you. I know her. She's the new medical student who's always pestering Gu Shouyuan. She even brought him a late-night snack right in front of me. Gu Shouyuan coldly pushed the food container back. I've told you, I'm not interested. This is my girlfriend, and we're getting married soon. Please have some self-respect. The girl, in her early 20s, was quite sensitive. Being scolded like that to her face, her eyes instantly welled up with tears. Her shoulders trembled as she turned and ran away. Gu Shouyuan is a straight man, and I was afraid he'd see this kind of text and start yelling again. I also didn't want this message to shatter my beautiful happiness, especially since I was getting married the very next day. So, without a second thought, I deleted the text message right away. I was determined to embrace our new life together, but married life didn't turn out to be as smooth as I had imagined. He focused on his career and, with my parents' support, became the head of the cardiology department. I managed the home, had a son, and stepped back from my career to care for him, which stalled my professional advancement. He always reassured me, saying things would get easier once our son was older. Just as our son grew up, my mother-in-law suffered a stroke and was left paralyzed. He held my hand with heartfelt sincerity and said, Xiao Jin, your mother is only used to your care. Just help me for a few more years. Until I finish this research project. That few years of help turned into 12. In those 12 years, he became an authority in his field, published papers in international journals, and gained renown as a master physician both at home and abroad. And I became the housewife I never wanted to be, spending my days shuttling between the kitchen stove and soiled diapers. On my 50th birthday, I was in the kitchen cooking, trying to make them a nice meal, when I suddenly had a stroke. After 2 weeks in the ICU, the night I was moved to a regular ward, he stood alone by my bedside. I thought he'd be heartbroken, and I was just about to comfort him, but when he finally spoke, there was nothing but cold hatred in his eyes. If you hadn't deleted Zuro's text message back then, why would she have been so heartbroken that she married someone else while carrying my child, for 18 long years? Sujin, you made my son call another man dad for 18 years. The oxygen mask fogged up with condensation. I opened my mouth, but my throat could only produce a hoarse, rasping sound. Did you ever love me? He let out a laugh, as if he'd just heard the most ridiculous joke. Love, my biggest regret is that I cared too much about our family's relationship back then. I should have called off the engagement before you had the chance to delete those messages. Marrying you was the greatest act of mercy I could have shown you. As the heart monitor let out a piercing shriek, I saw him reach out and, without a moment's hesitation, pull the plug on my oxygen supply. The movements were practiced, as if rehearsed 1,000 times in the mind. 2. The moment my soul felt weightless, I heard his voice crack over the phone. Shiwero, the woman who's been a stumbling block our entire lives, she's finally dead. I never went where I should have. My obsession was like a leash, tethering me to following Gu Shouyuan's footsteps. So it turns out he had reunited with Lin Shiwero 3 years ago. He spent 5 nights a week at her place. Her son called him dad, and he'd answer with a smile, then turn around to wire money and pull strings to get the kid into the best international school. And my own son had known about her all along, covering for them the entire time. He sighed countless times. I wish you were my mother. My own mother is always dealing with bedpans and bed baths. It feels like she's just rotting away. Not only that, but he also took it upon himself to have me buried in a remote suburban plot, purchasing a gravesite with the intention of having them laid to rest together after they pass. My heart has broken 1,000 times over, that the son I cherished so dearly could treat me this way. It would have been better if I had never given birth to him. My resentment must have been too deep, because I kept following them. One late night, Lin Shuero went to a bar with her best friend, Tipsy. She sneered, Gu Shuyuan, he's just a fool. Back then, I was pregnant with Linson, but his father got locked up. I couldn't just be a single mother, could I? So I picked a few decent prospects, sent out a group message, and waited to see who was willing to be the sucker. So he was the only one who missed the text. I ended up marrying the guy who replied the fastest, but these days, he's the most successful. I just tweaked Linson's birth date a little, and he bought it. That text he never saw became his obsession, a medical expert, and he wouldn't even get a paternity test, afraid of hurting our feelings. Her friend leaned in. So, is it really his? Lin Shuero raised an eyebrow, a smoke ring curling from her crimson lips. Does it matter? As long as he believes it now, that's enough. The lights were blinding, and in that moment, my very soul shuddered violently. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the eve of the wedding. The soft light of the bridal shop washed over me. As I looked up, I saw my reflection in the mirror. There I was, 23 years old, radiant, full of life, with eyes still brimming with hope for the future. I had been reborn. This time, I was going to live differently. In a daze, Gu Shuyuan hurried out of the fitting room. Where's my phone? With just that one sentence, I knew he had been reborn too. Without hesitation, I handed him the Nokia. The phone screen lit up at that exact moment. Can we meet? I miss you. 3. Gu Shuyuan practically snatched the phone, his thumb swiping it open. The moment his eyes scanned the screen, his shoulders relaxed in a barely perceptible sigh of relief. Then, he looked up at me, his eyes holding a complexity of emotion I had never seen before. I turned my head at just the right moment. Pretending to admire my reflection in the mirror, clad in white, he walked over, placed his hands on my shoulders, and said with a gentle expression, There's something I need to discuss with you. I turned my face back to him, a smile rising to my lips. What is it? The wedding might have to be postponed for a few days. The hospital just notified me about an urgent research project I have to follow up on. I need to start tonight. He paused, then added hastily, just a few days. I'll come back as soon as it's handled. It won't take long. I thought he would just come out and call off the engagement, with the same cold resolve he had when he pulled the plug on me in my last life. It seems I underestimated a man's capacity for shamelessness. I'm not planning to expose him right away. I just got back, and I need to carefully plan my next steps. Sure, work comes first. So, will you explain it to your parents' side of the family? I'll handle notifying my parents and our relatives. He was taken aback for a moment, probably not expecting me to agree so readily. Then, that moment of surprise gave way to a sense of entitlement. In my past life, I was just the same, always putting his needs above everything else, without a single word of complaint or resentment. Once he realized this, he dropped the act, turned around, went back to the fitting room, and changed his clothes. I have to go. The hospital is calling. 4. I went straight home. When I pushed the door open, I saw my parents standing side by side in front of the mirror, trying on their clothes for the next day. My mother was carefully smoothing out the wrinkles on my father's Zhongshan suit. They were whispering to each other, their eyes and brows brimming with unconcealable joy. My heart suddenly clenched, and a wave of bitter sorrow rose unexpectedly in my throat. In my past life, it began with the same high hopes, only to end in such a wretched manner, draining the very life from them. To help me, Mom never enjoyed a single day of her well-earned retirement peace. She came straight to help me raise my child. The day my father had his heart attack, I was doing rehabilitation exercises for Gu Shuyuan's paralyzed mother and missed his final call. By the time I got there, it was already too late. My mother held me, crying, Your father's last thoughts were of you, wondering when you'd finally start living for yourself. And yet, even as I died at Gu Shuyuan's hands, I never truly figured out how to live. Mom, Dad, I called out, only then realizing how hoarse my voice was. They turned around in unison, and upon seeing me, their smiles widened. You're back. What do you think? Does this look okay on your dad? Mom pulled me over, her eyes sparkling. I couldn't hold back any longer. I stepped forward and wrapped them in a tight hug. Tears rolled down silently. My parents were still here. They could still be with me for the rest of my life. What's the matter? Getting cold feet before the big day tomorrow. Mom patted my back, her voice gentle. Silly girl, you'll always be our precious daughter, married or not. This will always be your home. Dad chimed in with a smile. That's right. If that boy ever treats you poorly, I'll be the first one to have a word with him. I shook my head, trying to steady my voice. The wedding might be off. Gu Shuyuan just called. He said there's an urgent research project at the hospital and it needs to be postponed, but I called and asked around. There's no new project. I think he's having an affair. The room fell silent in an instant. Mom gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Dad's face visibly darkened, a vein throbbing faintly at his temple. That bastard, he was the head of the hospital, a man of gentle temperament his whole life. I never once heard him raise his voice in anger. He picked up the phone from the coffee table and dialed a familiar contact. He didn't waste words, his voice low and serious. Old Chen, do me a favor, look into someone for me. With decades in the hospital system, my father's connections and clout were on a completely different level compared to Gu Shouyuan, a mere up-and-comer. Within 20 minutes, the call came back. He was at a guest house near the hospital. This guest house had a partnership with the hospital, offering discounts to staff. Of course, Gu Shouyuan had just started working then and didn't have much money. After all, we weren't married yet. His father died young, and his mother raised him by scrimping and saving. But I never looked down on his family's circumstances. My parents also believed that as long as he was hardworking, it was enough. When we got married, we didn't ask for a single cent in bride price and even provided the 3 rounds and 1 sound as dowry. Dad didn't call many people. He only brought 2 tall, burly surgeons, longtime subordinates of his who were absolutely trustworthy. When the door opened, Lin Shuero was holding Gu Shouyuan and crying, I didn't think you'd come looking for me, Shuero. Of course I would come, I almost missed you again. At the sound, both looked up. Gu Shouyuan's eyes were filled with utter disbelief, shock, and panic. Uncle Su, Xiaojin, how did you? My father's gaze held no fury when it fell on Gu Shouyuan. Only profound disappointment and icy contempt. He turned slightly, drawing me gently in front of him, forcing me to witness this absurd and ugly scene in its entirety. Then, he looked at Gu Shouyuan, whose face was ashen, and spoke with a calm voice, yet each word fell like a hammer blow. Gu Shouyuan, the wedding is off. From this moment on, you and my daughter are finished. 5. The news of Gu Shouyuan's affair spread like wildfire. Honestly, given how meticulous my father is, this should never have gotten out. I was the one who leaked the story. At 24, Su Jin, fearing for her reputation, would have tried to keep it under wraps, but Su Jin, at 50, was not afraid. The hospital made the decision to give him a major demerit and disqualify him from the year-end performance evaluation. I remember clearly, in my past life, it was precisely this evaluation that gave Gu Shouyuan the opportunity to study abroad and ascend step by step to the pinnacle of his field. In truth, the competition for that evaluation was fierce. It was only through my father's extensive maneuvering and leveraging his own long-standing reputation to vouch for him that he even got a chance to be considered. But to his credit, he truly excelled in every way, silencing all the critics. I had just gotten pregnant back then. And without a second thought for his career, he left for abroad. I wonder, in this life, without that golden ticket to success, what will he and his long-lost Shuero do? 6. Gu Shouyuan's reputation at the hospital is in tatters. Even many patients, having heard about his situation, deliberately avoid booking appointments with him. Gu Shouyuan's mother, Li Shouyun, dragged him to my house to apologize. Seeing my former mother-in-law again made me feel sick to my stomach. Even though she was bedridden and unable to speak, she would fix me with a piercing glare from those cloudy eyes. The moment I leaned in to care for her, she would huck a thick wad of phlegm right into my face. She was convinced her son was a heaven-sent prodigy, and that my marrying into the Gu family was an undeserved blessing from our ancestors, meaning I ought to toil like an ox or a horse, for the sake of Gu Shouyuan and my son. I still took care of her dutifully until the day she passed. On her deathbed, her speech was already slurred, yet she mustered her last ounce of strength to clutch my wrist and rasp out a curse from her throat. You venomous woman, you forced my son to marry you. I hope you die a wretched death. I didn't understand why she said that at the time. It only dawned on me later that she must have also learned about Lin Shuero. Like Gu Shouyuan, she probably believed Lin Shuero, pregnant with her grandson, had married someone else. And that's why she harbored such venomous hatred for me. At this moment, Li Shouyun wore an ingratiating expression. In-laws, it was Shouyuan who was in the wrong here. I've made him come to apologize. There's really nothing between him and that woman. My mother grabbed a broom to shoo them away. Don't you dare speak such nonsense. We are no in-laws of yours. My mother was furious. All these years, she had helped the Gu family in countless ways, both openly and discreetly, sending food, clothes, and helping them find doctors. She had truly cherished them as close neighbors and as future in-laws. Now, all that affection had turned into thorns piercing her own heart. Gu Shouyuan had been hanging his head, feigning remorse, but seeing my mother's attitude, his eyes welled up with humiliation and rage, as if he had suffered a grave injustice. He grabbed Lee Shoyun's arm and made to leave. "Mom, let's go. It's a good thing this marriage didn't go through, snobs, the lot of you. You think I don't know? Your Sioux family has never looked at us as equals, not in your bones. You throw us a few scraps and expect us to be grateful for a lifetime, to serve you like a dog. Is that it?" Each word seared my heart like a red-hot brand. So that's how it is. So the path to success my father painstakingly paved for him was seen as nothing but charity. My mother's decades of unwavering kindness and support were nothing but an insult in his eyes. All our sacrifices and efforts were seen by him as nothing more than the fawning of social climbers. A hot rush of blood surged to my head, only to instantly freeze into ice. I turned and walked straight to the balcony, picking up the watering can, a bucket brimming with clear water. "Xiao-Jin," my father seemed about to stop me. I had already picked up that basin of water, turned back, aimed it at the mother and son in the doorway, and flung it without a moment's hesitation. Splash, the icy, bone-chilling water drenched them from head to toe. "Get out, Gu Shuyuan. Just consider the last 10 years of my life, Su-Jin, as a complete waste. From this day forward, our families are finished, all ties are severed, and there is no connection left between us. If you dare set foot in my house again, what I throw at you won't be water." Lee Shoyun was shivering from the cold, a mix of fury and fear. She pointed at me, ready to curse, but Gu Shuyuan held her back firmly. Gu Shuyuan's gaze was so venomous it could have dripped poison. He stared at me, his gaze piercing, as if seeing me for the first time, his words hissing through clenched teeth. "Su-Jin, you're something else, you're really something. You think just because I, Gu Xiu, have left the Su family, I'm finished, that I deserve to be trampled under your feet. Just you wait. One day, I'll make your entire Su family, get down on your knees and beg me." With that, he gave the door a vicious kick, grabbed Lee Shoyun, and stormed off without a backward glance. 7. The marriage was completely off, but for reasons unknown, Gu Shuyuan never allowed Lin Shuero to cross his threshold, but with a little thought, it wasn't hard to figure out. Lee Shoyun looked down on Lin Shuero. After all, she was just an intern with no connections, worlds apart from our family's standing. Now that Lin was carrying a child, Lee Shoyun felt she had her over a barrel and started putting on airs. I gave them a little nudge, and soon the news of Lin Shuero's pregnancy was all over the place. Even when Lee Shoyun went out to buy groceries, she could feel people whispering and pointing behind her back, her old face burning with shame. Lin Shuero was no pushover either. In the dead of winter, with a biting wind howling, she sat right on the cold concrete in front of the Gu family's apartment building. Her belly just beginning to show. She didn't cry or make a scene, she just sat there, her face turning blue from the cold. No matter who tried to reason with her, she would only repeat in a hoarse voice, "If the Gu family won't accept us, mother and child, I'll die right here." The scandal spread like wildfire through the hospital, with everyone condemning Gu Shuyuan for his irresponsible behavior and for abandoning her after leading her on. In the end, Gu Shuyuan had no choice but to go home and pressure Lee Shoyun. Not long after, the two held a wedding ceremony. Their wedding was a hasty and shabby affair. Not many people attended. After all, the Gu family had crossed my father, and few dared to court that kind of misfortune. Watching Lin Shuero's dowry, just a single old suitcase, Lee Shoyun couldn't help but think of the 3 rounds and a sound and the 100,000 yuan settlement fee my family had prepared back in the day. Her face remained sour the whole time. To those in the know, it was a wedding. To anyone else, it looked more like a funeral. Lin Shuero had held it in all day, perhaps knowing she was officially part of the family now. She finally dropped the act. That very night, the two of them came to blows. Lin Shuero's face was scratched, and Lee Shoyun threw her back out. What should have been a beautiful wedding ended with a trip to the hospital. 8. The news reached me while I was buried in a dense academic textbook. Outside the window lay a bleak winter scene, yet my fingertips were warm with focus. "It's a case of dog eat dog." I gave a slight, wry smile, my heart remaining largely untroubled. This little appetizer was nothing compared to the agony they inflicted on me in my past life. I know that with Gu Shoyuan's experience from his past life and that ruthless drive of his, he'll get back on his feet eventually. Lin Shuero is no pushover either. With the two of them tied together, plus Lee Shoyun in the mix, this drama is going to be quite the spectacle. But so what? I didn't get a second chance at life just to watch their sordid little show again. Let them wallow in their own mire. In this life, my path will no longer revolve around anyone else. I'm going to see a wider world. 9. After getting married, Gu Shuyuan changed jobs and went to work at the second hospital. He was acutely aware of his current predicament. While the People's Hospital offered greater scale and prospects than the second hospital, his father had deep-rooted influence there after years of operation. Staying on would mean his past misdeeds would eventually catch up and ruin him. By transferring to the second hospital, he could stand out as the top talent and might just get a chance to turn his fortunes around. Besides, there was another crucial reason. In his past life, a particular patient had arrived at the second hospital. Back then, when they came to our hospital to borrow a surgeon, he happened to be the one they encountered, and he performed that operation flawlessly. That patient's identity was rather unique. A successful surgery would bring not just professional acclaim, but also immeasurable networking resources. It was also because of this surgery that he began to gain wider recognition in this life. He went to second hospital specifically to get a head start and wait for this particular surgery, but I wouldn't give him the chance. Drawing on my memories from my past life, I sifted through a vast sea of patient medical records and located this patient's information. Zhang Weigua, a retired senior official. He had been experiencing chest tightness and had visited the hospital several times, but the doctor's diagnosis was always to just keep an eye on it. I located him and arranged a comprehensive cardiac examination for him. An aortic dissection in a blood vessel was quickly discovered. It was caught early and showed no signs of rupture. Without alerting anyone, I swiftly coordinated the hospital's top cardiothoracic surgery team and devised a meticulous surgical plan. The surgery went smoothly, from admission to a full recovery and discharge. It took only 2 weeks. On the day of his discharge, Zhang Weigua grasped my hand. Tears streaming down his aged face, he looked ready and vigorous, a world of difference from his previous life. In my past life, because it was discovered late, even though the surgery went smoothly, his health was severely compromised, requiring him to be bedridden for years to recuperate. Dr. Su, you are my savior. Everyone says I was just lucky, that it was caught during a routine checkup, but I know it was your attentiveness and your dedication. His family presented a banner. Red velvet with gold trim, inscribed with the words, "A healer's compassion, a keen eye for detail." As I received that weighty banner, I felt an immense sense of pride. So this is what it feels like to save a life. So, I too could use my own 2 hands and my own judgment to pull someone back from the brink. And what was I doing in my past life? Day in and day out, I revolved around my son and mother-in-law, cooking for my son, shuttling him to and from school, or helping my mother-in-law with laundry, physical therapy, and bathing. In the endless grind of household chores, I slowly eroded the professional expertise I had spent over a decade acquiring, until my own identity became a blur. But it's okay. My fingers traced the raised embroidery on the silk banner, and I lifted my gaze to the clear sky outside the window. In this lifetime, I will take it all back, piece by piece, with my own hands. 10. News of Mr. Zhang Weigua's recovery and discharge reached Gu Shuyuan. Upon hearing that I was the lead surgeon, he reportedly smashed a cup in his office. Good. It's a good thing Dr. Su didn't marry him. That man is so petty. It's not like Mr. Zhang didn't get checked at the second hospital. He just missed it himself. Now he's jealous seeing our Dr. Su win the Outstanding Young Doctor Award. All talk, no skill. And yet he has the nerve to throw a tantrum. Xiao Lu, the new nurse, was blunt and outspoken. Oh, by the way, have you heard? Things have been quite chaotic over at Dr. Gu's place lately. It's been nothing but drama and commotion all day long. I hear people gossiping about similar things every single day. As Lin Shuero's belly grew larger and larger, rumors began to circulate around the neighborhood. Some people, eyeing Lin Shuero's astonishingly round belly, whispered among themselves, "That doesn't look like 8 months. More like she's full term and ready to give birth." However, Gu Shuyuan and Lin Shuero had only known each other for exactly 8 months. Gradually, more people came forward with revelations, claiming that before Lin Shuero met Gu Shuyuan, she had another boyfriend, a punk who ended up getting locked up for getting into trouble. Li Shuyun had also heard these rumors. She and Lin Shuero had never gotten along to begin with, constantly at each other's throats at home. One day they'd argue because Lin's cooking was too salty. The next they'd be scratching at each other because they had taken Lin's laundry in. There was never a moment's peace. That afternoon, Li Xiuyun stormed home, her face ashen after hearing a torrent of gossip at the market, slamming the door with a deafening crash. "Lin Shuero, you jinx, you walking disaster. Ever since you set foot in this house, our Gu family hasn't known a single day of peace. You and that bastard in your belly have ruined my son's bright future." Irritated by her pregnancy swelling, Lin Shuero exploded at the words, "You old hag, who are you calling a bastard? This is your Gu family's blood. Your family has done enough wicked deeds, and now you dare pin the blame on me." Bah! Li Xiuyun spat right in Lin Shuero's face, stop spewing that crap, I've heard all about it. You weren't even close to my Xiao Yuan when you got knocked up with this bastard. It's that jailbird punks. Isn't it, huh? Trying to pass off some nobody's brat to swindle the Gu family, have you no shame? Struck by the accusation of a bastard child, Lin Xuero was instantly guilt-stricken, her face drained of color, then flushed crimson with the furious shame of being exposed. Screaming, she charged at Li Xiaoyun, her pregnant belly leading the way. You old hag, I'll fight you to the death. Taken aback that she'd actually dared to strike, Li Xiaoyun staggered from the shove and crashed into a wooden chair. A sharp pain shot through her, but she ignored it, lunging to claw at Lin Xuero's face. You bitch, how dare you hit me? A chaotic tangle of grappling, shrieking, and cursing ensued. In the confusion, it was impossible to tell who pushed whom or who tripped whom. A single, piercing cry of agony from Lin Xuero cut through the din. Clutching her stomach, she slid to the floor. A dark pool of blood spreading beneath her. Overwhelmed by rage, Li Xiaoyun's body went rigid. She toppled backward, hitting the ground with a heavy thud, her face contorted and her eyes askew. Only her fingers twitched involuntarily. Lin Xuero gave birth prematurely to a frail baby boy, whose cries were as faint as a kitten's mewl. Outside the neighboring emergency room, the doctor shook his head at Gu Xiaoyuan, who had rushed over. It's a massive brainstem hemorrhage. We've stabilized her, but she'll likely be bedridden for the rest of her life. Even with the best recovery, she'll probably be paralyzed. Gu Xiaoyuan stood frozen in the middle of the corridor, unable to comprehend why Li Xiaoyun was paralyzed once again. In his previous life, Li Xiaoyun had collapsed after losing at mahjong, the shock and frustration taking her breath away. In this life, to prevent such a tragedy, he repeatedly and earnestly warned Li Xiaoyun not to go play mahjong again. Li Xiaoyun heeded his advice. But despite all his efforts to prevent it, she still ended up paralyzed. He refused to believe this was fate, but seeing his entire family lying in the hospital, he couldn't help but break down. 11. But what truly dragged Gu Xiaoyuan into the abyss were the days after Lin Xuero was discharged from the hospital. That was the beginning of the nightmare, yet it was the daily reality of my past life. Li Xiaoyun was bedridden, completely paralyzed and unable to move. The doctor's orders were to turn her over, clean her, and administer tube feeding every 2 hours. His son cried day and night like a frail kitten, forcing him to hold the child for feedings all through the night. Even when washing diapers, he had to carry the baby on his back. This child was the obsession of his past life. He paid no mind to the gossip swirling outside, cradling the child as if it were the most precious thing in the world. As for Lin Xuero, citing postpartum hemorrhage and a weakened constitution, she remained bedridden for a full 50 days. Aside from complaining, she didn't lift a finger to do any work. Gu Xiaoyuan's world abruptly shrank to a room of a few dozen square meters, permeated with the sour smell of baby formula, the stench of urine, and the odor of bed sores from prolonged illness. He jostled the baby, who was crying itself hoarse in one arm while scrubbing his incontinent mother's bedsheets in the icy water with the other, all to the endless soundtrack of Lin Xuero's bitter complaints. I must have been blind to choose you. Of all the men who pursued me, you've turned out to be the most pathetic. He clenched his jaw and told himself, just endure it a little longer. Once Xuero recovers and mom's condition stabilizes, he can return to the operating room. So what if he missed out on one Zhang Weigua, after all? He was a reborn man, with his advanced skills and foresight. Establishing himself was only a matter of time. He reached the pinnacle in his past life, and he can do it again in this one. After Lin Xuero recovered, things did not go as he had hoped. She was never the type to endure hardship without complaint. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been looking for a father for her child in the first place. She's too lazy to do anything. On the rare occasion she gets a burst of energy and accomplishes something, she needs to rest for the next 2 days. After working overtime, Gu Xiaoyuan returned home to a devastating scene. His son, so hungry he could no longer even cry, his little face turning purple. His mother, left soaked in her own filth all day, with sores beginning to fester on her back, a cold stove with no food prepared, and Lin Xuero, leaning idly against the doorframe, meticulously painting her nails. Lin Xuero, are you a corpse? Can't you lift a finger? It was the first time he had ever roared at her, the veins in his neck bulging with fury. Lin Xuero had crossed the line before, but having gotten her back after losing her once, he had always indulged her. Time and again, Lin Xuero was stunned for a moment, then hurled the bottle of nail polish in her hand to the floor with a crash. Gu Xiaoyuan, you dare yell at me? What happened to all your promises? You swore I'd never suffer. That you'd buy me a gold ring, a big house, and look at us now. Look at this place, look at you. You ruined your golden reputation at the People's Hospital. and now you're just a coward hiding in that second-rate clinic, that pittance you bring home every month. What's it good for? It's not even enough to feed your bedridden mother and that little leech of yours. Smack. Gu Shouyuan slapped Lin Shiwero across the face. It's all because of you that I ended up like this. Lin Shiwero clutched her cheek, staring at him in disbelief. The last vestige of feigned affection in her eyes was completely extinguished, leaving behind nothing but icy hatred and calculation. The next day, Lin Shiwero was gone. She had run off with the family's modestly valuable jewelry, and had even taken the emergency money he had hidden in a book. Lin Shiwero was ruthless. She took everything of value, yet left behind her 3-month-old son. Gu Shouyuan stood amidst the wreckage, looking at his son crying himself hoarse in the bed and his mother-in-law, bedridden and soiled with filth. For the first time, he felt a bone-chilling cold and utter desolation. He had tried hiring a nanny, but a good one would cost nearly half his monthly salary. The cheap ones were either neglectful or downright untrustworthy. He finally managed to bring in a distant aunt from his hometown, only to come home early one day and find her harshly slapping his crying child while feeding his mother spoiled porridge from the night before last. His mother looked at him, tears streaming down her deeply etched wrinkles. A choked, guttural sound escaped her throat, but not a single word could she utter. Gu Shouyuan saw it, yet, he simply picked up the child in silence, forcing himself to look away. He had to get back to the hospital. He had to climb higher. His mother and child, they would have to be sacrificed for now. That was Gu Shouyuan. In his heart, no person, no matter, could outweigh his own future prospects. 12. He began working even harder, taking on the most night shifts and the most challenging surgeries. At the same time, he buried himself in the library, trying to pick up the research threads from his past life, using academic papers to pave his way to promotion. Yet fate always seemed to be one step behind me, whenever he poured his heart and soul into it. Finally clarifying a key piece of data, deriving a novel conclusion, and was ready to put pen to paper, he would always discover that a paper on a similar topic, often more thorough and polished, had already been published in the latest issue of a core journal, bearing my name, once, twice, every single time. Of course, he never knew, in my past life, during those lonely, forgotten late nights, my only solace and my tenuous link to the outside world was reading the various journals he brought home. Beyond just his papers, I committed all those cutting-edge studies to memory as well. In this life, those memories have become my most precious gold mine. While he was pulling night shifts for a few extra bucks, I was poring over the latest international journals. While he was worn down by a crying baby and a groaning mother, I was in the OR, racking up experience with every surgery. When he finally steeled his heart, cast aside all his burdens, and was ready to stake everything on his academic career, he discovered in despair that every path he thought would lead him back had already been blocked by me. Hope flared up time and again, only to be snuffed out. Effort after effort came to nothing. The light in Gu Shouyuan's eyes rapidly faded. In less than a year, stark white hair had sprouted at his temples, and his back had begun to stoop slightly. Gone was the confident, spirited man who had come to my house to break off the engagement. And gone, too, was the vigorous energy he'd shown when he pulled out my oxygen tube. People always say women can't compete with men, but if a man gets bogged down by these domestic burdens, how many can truly break free from the cage? 13. But what truly crushed Gu Shouyuan was the most ordinary of mornings. I heard from a friend that Lin Shiwero's old flame is out now. I'm about to go abroad, so of course I'm going to enjoy this little drama. So I had someone tell that guy with the dyed hair about Lin Shiwero having a child. That morning, Gu Shouyuan had just finished an emergency surgery. It was a complex procedure that took him 10 hours, leaving him completely drained. He slid down to sit on the floor, his back against the cold wall of the operating room corridor, his fingers still trembling faintly and unconsciously, but he was still pleased. With this surgery finished, he could earn some extra overtime pay. His son was about to start kindergarten and needed a new backpack, plus the toy he'd been wanting. Gu Shouyuan had nothing left. This child was his only hope. A resident doctor came jogging over. DDR, Gu, you need to get home, quick. There's a man at your house. They say he just got out of prison, and he's insisting your son is his. He's making a scene, trying to take the child. Your mother is so frantic she's banging her head against the bed frame. The neighbors are all in an uproar. Gu Shouyuan didn't even have time to change out of his surgical scrubs before stumbling his way back home. A crowd of curious neighbors had gathered outside his door, pointing and whispering. The front door was wide open, and from inside came the sound of Li Shouyuan's muffled yet piercing sobs and curses. The moment he laid eyes on the man, all the strength drained from Gu Shouyuan's body. On the man's neck was a birthmark identical to his son's. The whispers about the mismatched timeline and Lin Shuero's evasive, guilty gaze all converged in that moment. As a medical professional, he knew instantly this was not his son. Seeing him, the man didn't panic. Instead, he grinned, revealing a mouthful of smoke-stained teeth, his face a mask of smug triumph. Well, if it isn't the great Dr. Gu, thanks for raising my boy all these years. See, my seed. Spit an image of his old man. Gu Shouyuan stood frozen, his blood running cold. Darkness swam at the edges of his vision. He wanted to rush forward and snatch his child back, to beat the scoundrel out of the house, to scream and demand answers, but he did nothing. The 10-hour surgery had drained him physically, and the sheer absurdity of the scene before him now sapped the last of his spirit. He could only watch, helpless, as the man with the dyed blonde hair swaggered through the crowd with the child in his arms and vanished from sight. So it was all a complete and utter farce. Li Shouyun had crawled out from the inner room at some point. Her bony hands clung desperately to the doorframe as she stared fixedly at the spot where her grandson had vanished. Her throat could only produce a guttural ha sound, mingled with a despairing curse. Beast, you bias. 13. The day Gu Shouyuan came to see me, autumn was already deep, and the ground was carpeted with fallen phoenix tree leaves. I'm in my dorm room, sorting through the final batch of materials for my study abroad program. In this life, free from the burdens of marriage and the trivialities of family, I finally have the time and energy to focus on bettering myself. Thankfully, my hard work paid off. I received an acceptance letter from a top-tier medical school overseas. In the early 1990s, this was an absolutely tremendous opportunity. When the knock came at the door, I assumed it was a colleague coming to offer congratulations. I opened it, only to find Gu Shouyuan standing there. In just a year's time, he had become so haggard he was almost unrecognizable. His eyes were sunken, his stubble unkempt. His gaze fell on the English documents in my hand, and then he casually picked up the English dictionary from my desk. He looked surprised. You're reading these? Since when? You're English? Suddenly, as if he'd figured something out, he stared intently at my face. You came back too. I didn't answer. I simply and calmly gathered the documents in my hand, placed them in the suitcase, then walked to the door, adopting a posture of seeing a guest out. Dr. Gu, if you have no real business, please leave. Given our current situation, we should avoid any appearance of impropriety. Avoid impropriety. Xiao Jin, you weren't like this before. You used to listen to me the most, as you well know. That was before. I cut him off, my voice flat and devoid of emotion. His Adam's apple bobbed violently. Then, suddenly, and without warning, his knees buckled, and he dropped to the ground. Xiao Jin, I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong. I shouldn't have been so blind. I shouldn't have cheated with Lin Shuero, and I especially shouldn't have treated you like that right before our wedding. It's all my fault. I'm a monster. As he spoke, he even tried to grab the hem of my clothes, but I sidestepped to avoid him. Please forgive me. Okay, let's start over. I know you still love me, otherwise, in our past life, you wouldn't have sacrificed so much for me, and everything you're doing now in this life is just to get back at me, right? I promise, I'll never do it again. I'll treat you 1,000 times better. We can. Your idea of treating me better was to pull the plug on me in the ICU. All the self-indulgent emotion on Gu Shouyuan's face instantly froze upon hearing those words. You've never truly felt remorse. What you regret is that your schemes failed. You discovered that all your elaborate plotting was for nothing. In the end, you raised another man's child, ruined your own future, and became a complete laughingstock. Gu Shouyuan, your apology is worth less than the used, disposable gauze in your hospital room. At least those were clean once. I took a step back and shut the door right in his face. 14. A wise man does not stand under a wall that is about to collapse. Someone like Gu Shouyuan, with his pride and arrogance, is now utterly isolated. Who knows what he might do when he's backed into a corner? I made a snap decision. That very night, I packed my bags and took my parents to the provincial capital for a trip, letting them celebrate my upcoming move abroad. Although my parents thought it was a bit sudden, they were eager to spend more time with me, so they happily went along right away. We lingered in the provincial capital for several days, taking in the scenery, sampling the local cuisine, and buying all sorts of novel trinkets. In my past life, I owed them my time and laughter. In this life, I'm going to make it up to them, little by little. The night before my departure, in the hotel room, my mother helped me with a final check of my luggage while quietly wiping away her tears. My father patted her back, his own eyes a little red, but he smiled and said to me, once you're over there, don't just focus on your studies. Remember to eat on time and call home often. I'll hold down the fort here, so don't you worry. At the airport, After our final embrace, I pushed the luggage cart towards the security checkpoint. My parents stood there, waving, until I disappeared around the corner of the corridor. After I passed through security, the pager in my bag let out a sharp, piercing beep. It was a message from my father, just one line. But it was utterly chilling. Gu Shailin, arrested. He once came to our home armed. Fortunately, no one was there. Don't worry, but be careful in everything. Stay safe. I clutched the pager, my fingertips growing cold. I always knew Gu Shuyuan might snap under the pressure, but hearing he actually killed Lin Shuero still left me with a heavy heart. He chose the most foolish path of all, yet, upon reflection, it feels like this was his inevitable fate. In his past life, he was the golden boy. With my unwavering support securing his foundation and my father selflessly clearing the path ahead, all he had to do was focus on his ascent, basking in the admiration of the crowd. In this life, he had to do everything on his own. The more he struggled, the deeper he sank. But the thought of him coming to my house with a knife still sends chills down my spine. Well, that's that. He's never getting out. I switched off my pager and carefully put it away, looking up. At the end of the security checkpoint lay the bright, spacious departure hall. Beyond the vast glass curtain wall, a silver-white aircraft waited quietly. I took a deep breath, pulled up the handle of my suitcase, its wheels gliding across the floor with a steady sound. Step by step, I walked resolutely towards the boarding gate. I did not look back. The aircraft soared into the sky, piercing through the dense cloud layer. The past, like clouds, now lies beneath my feet, and my new life, radiant above the clouds, has just begun. Story 2. During the post-college entrance exam summer vacation, my boyfriend wanted to go explore the Qinling mountain caves. I tried to dissuade him from going. Others got trapped in the caves and died on the spot. Only my boyfriend and I narrowly escaped. Years later, we graduated smoothly and began discussing marriage. On my wedding day, my fiancé strangled me to death with my own veil. If you hadn't stopped me from going on that expedition back then, Yaya wouldn't have died. It turned out he'd always resented me for stopping his adventure, blaming his white moonlight's death on me. When I opened my eyes again, I'd been reborn on the day of that fateful expedition. The underground cave was pitch black, bottomless in its depth. My boyfriend panted excitedly and asked me eagerly, "Darling, should we keep going forward?" Should we keep going forward? Hearing my boyfriend's voice, I immediately shivered. In my memory, I was strangled to death by him, in the hotel's wedding venue, under the witness of family and friends. My boyfriend lifted my veil. I closed my eyes, waiting for the kiss, but the next second, my boyfriend suddenly lunged, viciously tightening the veil around my neck, veins bulging in his palms. Bang! The microphone crashed to the floor. The host screamed in terror, and the crowd panicked and fled. My boyfriend pulled the veil tighter, his eyes bloodshot red. I struggled, crying out "Ah!" in confusion, asking, "Why, Jichen, why do you want to kill me? We went from campus to wedding gowns, saved up millions in savings, and just bought a house. I'm even carrying his child in my womb. Why would he do this?" Jichen suddenly exerted force, tightening the veil around my neck. His gaze grew unfocused. I heard his grief-stricken yet resolute voice, "If you hadn't stopped me from going on that expedition back then, Yaya wouldn't have died, so that's how it was." He has always resented me for stopping him from exploring the cave during our summer trip in senior year of high school. He even believed I was responsible for the death of his beloved, so he lurked in the shadows for years, deliberately taking revenge on me at the wedding. But, if I hadn't stopped him back then, we're all going to die in this cave. Darling, my boyfriend's call snapped me back to reality. I've truly been reborn. This is the 4th day of our summer vacation trip exploring the Qinling Mountains. At this moment, we are currently in a cave more than 300 meters underground. The air is thin, and the surroundings are cold and pitch black. Only the faint glow from the searchlight above remained. I spoke coldly, "Jichen, aren't you the team leader? Why ask for my opinion? Since you're so determined to rush to your doom, then of course I'll oblige." 2. In the previous life, it was here that Jichen asked me if we should continue forward. At that time, sensing danger, I firmly pulled Jichen back the way we came. But my best friend Zhou Yu insisted on venturing deeper into the cave, and so, we'll split up and part ways at this cave entrance. In the end, Zhou Yu's team got lost and was trapped in the cave, resulting in their deaths. My boyfriend Mingming narrowly escaped disaster because I stopped him, yet he turned around and blamed Zhou Yu's death on me. "In this lifetime, there's no one to stop me," the boyfriend said decisively. "Since everyone agrees, let's proceed further." "Wait," I called out to stop them. "I want to withdraw here." "Nonsense." The boyfriend frowned and scolded sharply. "We've come this far with great difficulty, and you want to turn back, I retorted. It was you and Zhou who tricked me into coming here in the first place. I have no interest in adventure at all. The one who truly loves adventure is Zhou, not me. After the college entrance exams ended, my boyfriend and best friend said they would take me on a trip to give me a surprise. I thought they would take me to some viral tourist spot, but who knew they'd actually bring me all the way to the uninhabited Qinling Mountains. Upon hearing my words, a flash of guilt crossed my boyfriend and best friend's faces. I sneered, I won't trouble you, just give me a map, I can find my own way. We've been inside the cave for several hours now. The terrain here is complex, with several branching paths along the way, but with a map, I'm confident we can make our way back safely, yet my boyfriend still disagrees. I'm not comfortable with you going back alone, Lingling, be good and stay with the group. Zhou also chimed in, that's right, Lingling. We've come all this way with such difficulty. Why do you insist on backing out now? The others were giving me unfriendly looks. According to Ji Chen, these friends of his and Zhou's had once pried open a locked cave in the scenic area to camp in the wild no man's land. They were all avid adventure enthusiasts. This time, they came to the Qinling Mountains specifically to explore this underground cave. What if we discover a gold mine here, along the way? We've seen many traces of pre-liberation life. Who knows what other surprises might be inside? We could strike it rich. They had high hopes for this expedition. Therefore, regarding my departure, disapproving expressions appeared on their faces. 3. We were at a stalemate for a while. Zhou spoke up. If you want to go back, fine, but leave your searchlight and supplies behind. On what grounds? I said coldly. The cave is pitch black without a trace of light. Asking me to hand over the searchlight to you is no different than demanding my life. Zhou quickly hid behind my boyfriend, sticking out her tongue. You're leaving anyway. It's not like you'll need these things. Fine, keep them if you won't give them. No need to be so fierce. My boyfriend glared at me. Enough, hurry up and leave. The air is thin underground. You've already wasted enough of everyone's time. I said I'm not leaving. Can't you understand human language? Give me the map. Ji Chen frowned tightly, his handsome face showing impatience. I don't have any extra maps here. I didn't believe it at all, rushed over to search my boyfriend's bag, and found a spare map. Then what's this? My boyfriend felt embarrassed, his expression turning somewhat unpleasant. Zhou suddenly rushed out at this moment. With a rip sound, she directly tore the map apart. Are you insane? I exclaimed in disbelief. My boyfriend tightly gripped my shoulders. The map fragment was lightly tossed deep into the cave. Alright, now the map is gone too, let's hurry and go. My boyfriend patted me. The others glared at me, annoyed that I'd wasted their time. Among them, a girl in red rolled her eyes at me. Had enough, Brother G. This kind of woman is just being dramatic. Zhou also chimed in at the right moment. Lingling, you're not in good health. Brother G, and I really can't rest easy letting you go back alone. Just keep going with us. But in her eyes, there was unmistakable malice, knowing full well I'm not in good health, yet deliberately bringing me along for this adventure. Isn't that just wanting to see me make a fool of myself? I gritted my teeth and conceded through clenched jaws. Fine, I'll go with you. I'm staying to watch you all march to your doom with my own eyes. 4. Nature's craftsmanship is both perilous and enchanting. We pressed onward, passing numerous stalactite formations and the rushing sounds of underground rivers along the way. So beautiful. Zhou was very excited and handed me her phone, asking me to take a photo of her and my boyfriend. She tightly held onto Ji Chen's arm, their fingers interlaced in the dim light. The way Ji Chen unintentionally looked at her was both restrained and affectionate. But all I want to do is vomit. Ji Chen and Zhou were my high school classmates, after the college entrance exams. It was only with Zhou's help that I confessed to Ji Chen, but who would have thought they were actually having an affair? Now that I've been reborn, I finally understand. They were just taking advantage of my family's wealth and my generosity to friends, deliberately conspiring to cheat me out of money, treating me like a fool. I threw my phone directly onto the ground, letting Ji Chen glare at me with a livid face. Besides stalactites, the cave also contains traces of 20th century human activity. Someone excitedly pointed and shouted, "There's another saltpeter maker." Continuing downward, the cave entrance began to narrow. I glanced at the Beidou watch on my wrist. Currently, we've reached a depth of 400 meters underground. In my previous life, I didn't venture this deep into the cave. Under the searchlight's glow, I carefully examined the surrounding stone walls. My family owns a mining company, so I've been familiar with various ores since childhood. The rock wall here shows obvious quartz vein mineralization, with faint hints of green and gold. The green coloration could potentially indicate associated minerals. As for that streak of gold, thinking of one possibility, my palms began to sweat. Could it be a gold mine? 5. The people ahead walked farther away, not noticing the pause in my steps. Suppressing my pounding heart, I pretended nothing had happened and continued following them. We took another break at a slightly wider cave opening. Having walked this far, I'm already feeling some chest tightness due to insufficient oxygen levels. Jichen held the map and gestured. The cave ahead is called the Labyrinth of Death. No one has ever explored this place before. Zhou also got excited, tugging at Jichen's arm and shaking it. When we make it through the entire Labyrinth of Death, let's rename it after both of us. Jichen's gaze softened. Alright, heh. I'm afraid they won't have this opportunity. In the previous life, Zhou and the others met their end here. The death maze has complex terrain, with cave passages averaging less than 80 centimeters in diameter. Even the most professional explorers can't take it lightly, especially since they were just a group of amateur explorers, not even properly equipped. After resting for 15 minutes, Jichen led the team to set off again. He excitedly stuck his head into the tunnel. It's a bit narrow here. You'll need to suck in your stomach to get through, he cautioned the people behind him. Then, he slowly felt his way forward, inching along with slight body movements, finally making it through the narrow passage. It's quite spacious up ahead, you can come through now. Zhou followed closely behind. The others filed in one after another, following them. When it was my turn, I pretended to be anxious and shouted, "It's too narrow here. I can't get through." Zhou covered her mouth and mocked. I told you girls shouldn't weigh over 100 pounds. Lingling, your waist is so thick, you definitely can't fit through. Bullshit. With my height of 1.7 meters and weight of 50 kilograms, do I still count as fat? Jichenza turned his head and said, give her a hand. The one in front of me is that girl in red. What a burden. She rolled her eyes at me and gave my arm a perfunctory tug. Brother G. I can't pull her. It's no use. Jichen had no choice but to say to me, then how about you wait here for us? A proper expedition team would never leave a member behind. The cave is dangerous. Getting separated from the main group without sufficient supplies could easily be fatal. Fully aware of what was about to happen, I simply said, all right. Then, I sat there calmly, conserving my energy. Jichen and his group continued exploring the cave, moving farther away from me. Through the thick stone wall, I heard the muffled voices of him and Zhou. There's a fork ahead. Wait, let me check the map. Brother G. The left path is wider, we should take the left. After a moment, Jichen said dotingly, Yaya is so smart. Alright, everyone follow me. There's another narrow path ahead. Everyone, remember to inhale as you pass through, just like before. But the next second, Jichen's voice suddenly became distorted with terror. No, it's a dead end ahead. Quick. Retreat. 6. Chaos erupted inside the cave. The path Jichen led them through was a narrow passage no wider than 60 centimeters, with a downward slope of about 30 degrees. The cave winds and twists, making it difficult even for adults to turn around. Now, they had no choice but to turn back and attempt to climb up again. The girl in red, who was originally at the end of the line, now found herself at the front. Panting heavily, she squeezed past the protruding rock wall, poked her head out of the cave entrance, drenched in sweat, and yelled at me, no common sense. Don't you know to give me a hand? I nodded. Oh. Then, I walked over to her side, just as she had done to me earlier. My fingers lightly brushed her arm. Oh dear, I can't pull it. The girl in red angrily punched the wall in frustration. Haven't you eaten? Put some strength into it. The people behind grew impatient and forcefully pushed the girl in red forward, but due to the angle, the girl in red's hip bone scraped heavily against the stone wall. It hurts. Stop pushing me. When she emerged from the stone wall, there was a bloodstain spreading on the side of her pants near the hip, and her right ankle was sprained. She sat there glaring at me resentfully. The others, in their haste, didn't fare much better when they came out, each bearing various degrees of scrapes and bruises. Finally, only Zhou and Jichen remained in the cave. How could this be a dead end? The map clearly shows it's right here. Zhou continued to argue stubbornly. Jichen comforted her. It's alright, let's get out first. I used the flashlight to illuminate the tunnel, only seeing Zhou's legs flailing incessantly. Good grief, they went in head first. For a moment, I was at a loss for words. This tunnel slopes downward. Logically, it's best to enter feet first to avoid getting stuck in an upside-down position. After all, it's possible for a person to die from being upside down for an extended period. Jichen kept trying to push Zhou outward with his feet, but due to the cramped space and obstructed vision, he couldn't see exactly where Zhou was behind him, making his efforts futile and only wasting energy. A few minutes later, the others rested and went to help as well. They took turns pulling Zhou's legs, yanking backward with all their strength. Zhou also cooperated by wriggling her body. but she remained firmly stuck against a protruding rock, not budging an inch. After several failed attempts, others also waved their hands in exhaustion, panting heavily. "No way, this is too exhausting." The girl in red grew somewhat fearful. "Maybe, we should call the police." "Is that really necessary? We'll definitely get out," Ji-Chen declared loudly. "Don't worry, I'm perfectly fine now. Once everyone's rested, we'll tie the rope to Yaya's feet and try one more time." The others also saw no need to call the police, so they drank some mineral water, massaged their sore muscles, and adjusted their breathing. I took out a piece of compressed biscuit from my backpack, glancing at my watch out of the corner of my eye. It was 3 p.m. Ji-Chen had been trapped for 15 minutes. 7. After resting once more, following Ji-Chen's instructions, the others tied the rope around Zhou Yu's legs and pulled backward with all their might. 1, 2, 1, 2. I stood at the very end, loosely holding the rope with both hands, pretending to exert force like everyone else. Zhou Yu let out a scream of pain. After roughly a dozen such tugs, her entire body finally slid backward a short distance. It moved. The others were greatly encouraged and once again pulled the rope together with concerted effort. Zhou Yu pressed both hands against the rock wall, exerting all her strength as her body gradually inched backward. In the end, the others discarded the rope, grabbed her ankles, and forcefully pulled her out. "Ah!" Zhou Yu let out a sharp scream. "What's wrong?" The girl in red stepped forward to check, only to see a deep streak of blood on Zhou Yu's cheek. "My face got cut by the rocks," Zhou Yu cried out. Her once delicate face now bore a bloody mark stretching from the corner of her eye to her mouth, with flesh torn outward. "Who has something to stop the bleeding? Quick, look around," the crowd clamored. But after searching for a long time, none of these amateur explorers had thought to bring a bottle of alcohol. Finally, Zhou Yu could only take a tissue and, sobbing, pressed it against the wound. After comforting Zhou Yu, someone asked Ji-Chen, "Brother Ji, are you okay now?" "I'm fine. What about Yaya? Has she gone out?" After receiving an affirmative answer, Ji-Chen finally felt at ease. Only then did the others begin preparing to rescue Ji-Chen. The beam from the high-power flashlight illuminated the tunnel. Everyone leaned forward to look. The gray rock walls on both sides tightly encased Ji-Chen. His upper body was wedged into an unknown tunnel passage, leaving only his lower half trapped in the passage where the others were confined. From a distance, he resembled a sandwich cookie, his situation 100 times more dire than Zhou Yu's. 8. Someone had once discussed it. What is the most terrifying way to die in the world? The highly upvoted answer featured an image of a person being twisted and crammed into a toilet. A full-grown adult was forcibly squeezed into the narrow toilet space. The trapped person hunched their back, hugged their legs, with no room to move, left only to await death. This is precisely Ji-Chen's current predicament. At this moment, Ji-Chen spoke up. "Can you come in? Tie the rope to my foot and pull me out." To tie the rope to Ji-Chen's foot, someone would have to enter the cave again headfirst. But after what happened earlier, no one dared to take the risk again. As they looked at each other in hesitation, suddenly, the girl in red pointed at me with malice in her eyes. "Let Zhao Ling go. We've been struggling for so long and are all exhausted. Only Zhao Ling hasn't entered the cave from the beginning." The others chimed in. "Right, isn't she Brother Ji's girlfriend? She should be the one to contribute." Ji-Chen inside the cave also agreed. "Lingling, then it's your turn." The surrounding people echoed in agreement. I coldly crossed my arms and met each of their gazes one by one. "The reason I didn't enter the cave is because I couldn't. Do you want me to get stuck at the entrance and delay your rescue time for Brother Ji? Don't forget, Ji-Chen has been trapped for half an hour already. Besides, you still remember I'm Ji-Chen's girlfriend. I bet Zhou Yu is the one you all consider as your sister-in-law." Zhou Yu covered her face and mumbled, "Lingling, don't be jealous for no reason. Ji-Chen and I are just good friends." I cut her off directly. What kind of good buddies hold hands with fingers interlaced? Guan Yu and Zhang Fei certainly didn't act like that. Someone let out a long sigh. "How about Yaya goes into the cave again? You're the slimmest among us girls. This time we'll hold on to you so you won't get stuck." Zhou Yu however shook her head in terror and stepped back. "No, I won't go." Ji-Chen waited impatiently for the result and began to urge. "Have you all made a decision? I'm having trouble breathing." Finally, a lean-framed young man volunteered to enter the cave. He tied the rope around Ji-Chen's feet and emerged from the cave unscathed after a close call. Outside the cave passage, everyone began pulling with all their might again. 1, 2. The rope tightened and loosened under the strain, sweat pouring down everyone's foreheads. The rope slowly moved backward a short distance. "It's working. It's working," Ji-Chen shouted excitedly to the outside. "I've moved out a bit." Everyone continued to pull the rope with great effort, but the next second, the rope suddenly snapped under the tremendous force. Bang! The broken rope whipped fiercely across the face of the person at the front of the line. All of us suddenly lost strength and collapsed to the ground. As the rope snapped and gravity took over, Jichen slid further into the cave, his body tightly wedged against the rock wall. Brother G, are you okay? Jichen responded with difficulty. I'm fine, but the searchlight is broken, we've lost our light source. Don't rush, let's look for another rope. The group took out a new rope and tied it to Jichen's leg again. But this time, no matter how much they sweated, they couldn't pull the rope at all. It was truly stuck too tightly. Finally, someone said with a grave expression, we should call the police. 9. After Jichen was trapped for 3 hours, everyone finally decided to call the police. Brother G, we've called the police. Hang in there a little longer. That's right, the rescue team will definitely find a way. The group remained relatively optimistic, but I didn't share their optimism. This cave was found by Zhouyu online. Located deep in the Qinling Mountains, it took us 2 full days of mountain trails to get here. The rescue team probably won't arrive anytime soon. After hanging up the emergency call, a group of people sat silently on the ground, momentarily speechless. Suddenly, the girl in red tightly grabbed Zhouyu's collar and shouted, it's all your fault. You misread the map and got Brother G trapped. She unfolded the map and pointed. Didn't you say you often go exploring? How could you mistake such an obvious fork in the road, one wide, one narrow? Someone started trying to mediate the argument. Alright, yeah, I didn't mean to do it. Zhouyu began to sob quietly. Jichen heard the commotion and still had the mind to comfort Zhouyu. Don't cry, yeah, it's okay. But his voice was so hoarse, barely any strength left. During the wait for the rescue team, others occasionally tried pulling the rope, but without any effect. All attempts ended in failure. Having lost the searchlight, Jichen was trapped in a narrow, pitch-black space for a long time, unable to see anything. Gradually, his voice took on a tinge of fear as he kept asking us, are you still there? 5 hours later, the rescue team arrived. They were faster than I expected. They must have used a helicopter. The rescue team leader asked us, who among you is close to him? Talked to him for a while to help calm his emotions. Just then, Jichen's hoarse voice came from inside the cave. Yeah, are you there? Everyone then turned to look at Zhouyu, but she stepped back in tears. No, I won't go. The rescue team leader persuaded. He's been trapped for 7 hours now. Aren't you his friend? Couldn't you help him? Don't worry, we'll ensure your safety. Zhouyu broke down and shouted, I won't go. I want to leave. I want to get out of this damned place. Jichen fell silent. 10. One of the rescue team members put on his gear and climbed into the tunnel. Holding a drill in his hand, he continuously chiseled at the rock wall, seemingly trying to expand the cave space. However, because the rock wall was too solid, after 5 minutes of drilling, the cave only had a few more scratches. The rising dust danced under the illumination of the headlamp. Jichen choked and coughed violently several times. No, the rescue team members shook their head. The drill can't penetrate, and the dust and debris would pose a suffocation risk to him. Seeing this, several other rescue team members began using protruding rocks to secure pulleys. The rescue team leader took a moment to explain to us, we'll use a pulley to pull him up. Don't worry, we've rescued over a dozen expedition teams this way. Your friend will be safe and sound. It's currently 9:45 p.m. Jichen has been maintaining a handstand position without eating or drinking for a full 7 hours. Prolonged handstands may not only lead to suffocation but could also potentially cause heart failure. Jichen, in my previous life, I took you away from the cave early, yet you held a grudge and killed me with your own hands. In this life, is this really what you wanted? Meanwhile, the rescue team battled against death, racing against time to install the pulley. Others took turns speaking to Jichen at the tunnel entrance. Brother G, say something. Jichen's voice was faint. I'm still here. They sighed in relief and continued comforting Jichen. As long as you can speak, that's good. Little did they know, Jichen's voice trembled, his words coming out broken and incoherent. Clearly, prolonged oxygen deprivation had caused brain damage. Finally, after assembling the pulley and ropes, the rescue team began pulling the rope. Several pieces of rubble were shaken loose by the tremendous force. I moved. Jichen's faint voice gave the rescue team a morale boost. The rescue team pulled the rope with even greater effort, while others encouraged Jichen, hold on. To ease Jichen's nervousness, the rescue team members initiated a conversation with him. You mentioned you're 18 this year and just finished the college entrance exam. How did you do? I scored over 600, enough to get into a 985 university. Impressive. What major did you apply for? I applied for computer science. My mom said it's easier to find jobs in this field. and eventually, I could earn hundreds of thousands a year. Alright, young man, you've got a bright future ahead. Suddenly, with a bang sound, Ji-chen let out a painful howl. What's wrong? Initially, Ji-chen's lower body was in the previous tunnel, but because the rope had snapped earlier, he had descended further down. As a result, there was an angular difference between his legs and the previous tunnel. If the rescue team continues to exert force, his legs will only slam hard against the rock wall. After analyzing the current situation, the rescue team leader said with a serious expression, if we want to continue rescuing him, we'll have to break his legs. 11. Gasps immediately sounded around them. No way. Are you fucking here to save people or to kill them? The rescue team captain was shoved backward. After steadying himself, he shouted sternly, this is an emergency. Who has time for jokes with you? Zhou Yu retreated to a corner nearby, lowered her eyelashes, and pretended not to hear anything. But the next second, the angry crowd immediately turned their spears toward her. Zhou Yu, you clearly can't read a map, so why did you point randomly? It's all your fault that Brother Ji ended up like this. Zhou Yu was slapped across the face. She had remained silent all this while. At this moment, she finally erupted, leaping up abruptly. Had enough of the insults. When will this ever end? Ji-chen is just my lapdog. I can order him around however I want. Why should you care? Stop arguing. Ji-chen panted heavily, interrupting them. Isn't there any other way? The rescue team leader rubbed his temples and sighed. No choice. The tunnel is too narrow. Our team can't reach that deep. We can only use pulley traction. Ji-chen's voice began to tremble. Can't we try some other method? I'm only 18 this year, just finished the college entrance exams. If my leg gets broken, how am I supposed to go to university? The situation immediately reached a deadlock. The rescue team made several more attempts to pull the rope. Without exception, Ji-chen's legs repeatedly collided with the stone walls, leaving them almost dripping with blood. After a full hour of struggle, I faintly heard a boom sound. Was that thunder? I asked with a trembling voice. Others glared at me and scolded. Brother Ji has been trapped for so long, and you're still worried about thunder. But the rescue team members instantly changed their expressions. One of the rescue team members couldn't help but curse. Don't you cave explorers know what consequences rain can bring? Underground caves are natural connected vessels. When it rains, the water level in subterranean rivers rises. If we don't leave in time, we'll all drown. Daring to enter the cave without knowing anything, you're really here to throw your life away. Hearing this, Zhou Yu was the first to react. She grabbed the rescue team leader's arm fiercely. Forget about Ji-chen. Get us out of here first. The girl in red took a deep breath. Zhou Yu, how can you be so selfish? Are you suggesting we abandon Brother Ji? Zhou Yu yelled. What else? Whether he lives or dies is none of my business. Are you only satisfied if we all drown here? The rescue team leader pushed Zhou Yu aside and contacted the ground rescue members via walkie-talkie. After a brief communication, he turned back with a grave expression. The light rain will turn into heavy rain in an hour and a half. It takes at least an hour for us to return, so we only have half an hour left for him. Another deafening boom sound. It struck close to our ears, as if divine wrath. At this moment, after a long silence, Ji-chen finally spoke. Everyone present clearly heard his hoarse voice. Then, just break my legs. 12. Ji-chen's parents were rushing to the Qinling Mountains. The rescue team contacted members on the ground via radio, asking them to call Ji-chen's parents. Amidst the crackling static, the call connected. Ji-chen's voice carried exhaustion and helplessness. Dad, Mom, the rescue team said if they want to save me, they'll have to break my legs. There was a commotion on the phone, and Ji's mother fainted on the spot. The rescue team leader explained the situation to Ji's father. Just as Ji's father was about to agree, Ji's mother woke up. No, Ji's mother objected. My son is only 18, and he got into a 985 university. If his leg is broken, his whole life will be ruined. Think of another way. The rescue team leader struggled to explain. It's raining here. If we can't rescue your son within half an hour, he'll drown trapped in this spot. Mother Ji shouted. I don't care. That's your problem. Ji-chen's weak voice said, Mom, do you really want me to die here? Mother Ji remained silent. Xiaohu bought document anti-piracy, bookfinding machine. Choose Xiaohu, reliable and steady, no pitfalls. After a long while, earth-shattering wails came from the woman on the other end of the phone. Father Ji took the phone and said tremulously to the rescue team, go ahead. After obtaining consent, the rescue team began preparing to break Ji-chen's leg. Rescue team members entered the tunnel and started wielding sharp tools. Bang, bang, bang. The commotion inside the tunnel was terrifying. The rain is getting heavier. Move quickly. The rescue team leader gripped the radio tightly and urged. Ji-Chun let out screams of agony. Thick, sticky blood slowly flowed, mixing with the dripping rainwater in the cave before disappearing into the underground river. After about a dozen strikes, the rescue team member wiped the sweat off his brow. All right. His leg is already broken, let's keep pulling the rope. The rain grew heavier, pounding against me through the raincoat. Everyone remained silent, only the rescue team's heavy panting could be clearly heard. A full 8 hours later, Ji-Chun was finally freed. His lips were purple, his face deathly pale, his legs limp. He nearly collapsed. While being supported and led away by the rescue team, he cast a heavy, profound glance at Zhou. Zhou was frightened by that icy stare and kept retreating. And no, it's not my fault. You chose that path yourself, you got stuck on your own. Ji-Chun found strength from somewhere unknown. As he passed by Zhou, he suddenly lunged at her, his hands gripping her neck. After all I'd done for you, this is how you treat me. You're the one who wanted to go exploring. I only came to keep you company. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. Zhou, give me back my legs. The two men rolled on the ground, mud soaking their clothes. The rescue team hastily pulled Ji-Chun up. Stop fighting, hurry and leave, the water level is already rising. Zhou sat up sideways, clutching her throat in terror, coughing violently until tears welled in her eyes. Yet no one cared about her anymore. Someone muttered a soft curse, no one knew who. Serves you right. In the oppressive atmosphere, the rainstorm has arrived. The rock wall became slippery due to the rain, making it difficult to climb. Fortunately, the rescue team had ropes and other equipment, so our return journey was relatively smooth. During the climb, I glanced back. The tunnel where we had just been standing was now completely submerged by rainwater, with waves swaying and drifting. Finally, led by the rescue team, we safely returned to the surface. A dozen rescuers had been waiting for a long time, and they quickly placed Ji-Chun on a stretcher and carried him into the vehicle. Someone took my hand and led me up. Boom. The moment my feet touched the ground, another thunderclap sounded. The torrential rain obscured my vision, carrying the earthy scent of the forest. In the distance lies an endless expanse of deep forest. Mysterious and faint, everyone followed the rescue team, leaving the Qinling cave where they had nearly lost their lives. It wasn't until the rescue team escorted me all the way to the nearest hospital that I finally felt a glimmer of reality. Finally, it's over. 13. Summer rain comes quickly, goes quickly. After being taken to the hospital by the rescue team, after the examination showed no issues, I took the high-speed train back home. The dining table was filled with a spread of delicious dishes. Dad was sitting on the sofa watching TV. Mom took off her apron and asked me in surprise, "Sweetie, why are you back so suddenly? How was your trip?" My nose tingled with emotion as I dropped my luggage and rushed into their arms. I began to enjoy my summer vacation. A few days later, several of my close friends and I have successively received admission letters from our dream schools, so we arranged to meet up. At the dinner table, everyone started gossiping. "Have you heard? Ji-Chun, the heartthrob of our school, broke both his legs. He's currently receiving treatment at the provincial hospital." My chopsticks paused mid-air. "What? He just got into a top-tier university. How tragic." "Yeah, I heard his mom keeps crying by his hospital bed." After the dinner gathering ended, I made a detour and went to the provincial hospital. Ji-Chun lay on the hospital bed, staring blankly out the window. Beneath the blanket were his legs, brutally broken while he was still alive. The summer heat was oppressive. A faint stench emanated from his bedding, likely because the caregiver hadn't changed his sheets promptly. In the previous life, Ji-Chun graduated from a prestigious university and worked at a top-tier company, being the pride of his family and friends. Now, however, he's fallen into such dire straits that he resembles a stray dog. When he saw me, a glint flashed through Ji-Chun's eyes. "Why have you come?" "I'm breaking up with you," I said. "After all, you were only with me because of Zhou." "Right, during our time together, the two of you have taken plenty of money from me." Ji-Chun lowered his handsome face. "I never thought Zhou was that kind of person." He curled his lips in a sarcastic smirk. "You're still the one who treats me best. When I was with you, I didn't know how to cherish it." I didn't speak. Ji-Chun spoke again, lingering. "Can you come over and let me take a good look at you?" I pretended to comply and took a step forward, but in the next instant, a cold glint flashed. He actually pulled out a fruit knife from under the quilt and stabbed straight at my chest. Why? He seemed like a beast that had broken free from its reins, his expression frenzied. "Why didn't you persuade me to leave the cave this time?" 14. With a clang sound, I kicked the fruit knife out of Ji-Chun's hand. Before I could subdue him, his weak legs gave out, causing him to fall straight off the bed. "Now, he's nothing but a useless cripple." I rolled my eyes. After being reborn once, you really haven't improved at all, only capable of impotent rage, he exclaimed in shock. You've been reborn too, I sneered. We're all adults here. Do you really need someone else to take responsibility for your choices? Go ahead and tell me, why should I persuade you to leave the cave? What am I after? To have you strangle me with your own hands at our wedding? Ji-Chen, oh Ji-Chen, you're truly a man-child. Even glancing at you makes me sick. After saying this, I walked straight out of the hospital room, leaving only Ji-Chen sitting on the floor, shouting in resentment. Thanks to being rushed to the hospital in time, although Ji-Chen's leg was broken, he successfully survived the complications and managed to keep his life. After summer vacation, he went to register at the university he was admitted to. However, his identity as a disabled person ultimately brought him many inconveniences. First, the student dormitory doesn't have an elevator, so his wheelchair couldn't enter the dorm, forcing him to rent outside. Secondly, he couldn't participate in military training either, missing the best opportunity to build relationships with classmates, not to mention his sensitive and proud personality. Every time he went out in his wheelchair, he always attracted others' attention, even when others meant no harm. Ji-Chen still felt they looked down on him. At first, he tried to prove himself through academic achievements, but those 8 hours trapped in the Qinling cave caused irreversible brain damage. He found his mind becoming increasingly sluggish. Sometimes staring at the words in a book for too long can make you dizzy, to the point where even the simplest words become incomprehensible. Even his exam results were just at the bottom of the class. Gradually, he started skipping classes, withdrawing into himself, becoming dark and depressed in his heart. Ostracized and isolated by other classmates, the end, he took a leave of absence during his sophomore year. One day, while going to the hospital for a follow-up examination, he unexpectedly ran into Zhou Yu, that white moonlight he held dear in his heart. After he became disabled, immediately blocked him, unwilling to have any connection with him. But clearly, it was because of Zhou Yu that he ended up in this situation. Ji-Chen slowly maneuvered his wheelchair, following Zhou Yu at a distance neither too close nor too far. His gaze was unfocused. What a coincidence. I also love traveling. Let me tell you, when I went exploring in the Qinling Mountains before, there was this idiot who got trapped in a cave and had both legs broken. Isn't that hilarious? Ji-Chen could no longer hold back, maneuvering his wheelchair to crash forward, pinning Zhou Yu beneath him. What's so funny? I was just accompanying you on an adventure. Why am I the one who ended up with a broken leg? Ji-Chen's eyes turned red as he gripped Zhou Yu's neck. Zhou Yu's limbs flailed and struggled in midair. A passerby stepped forward to help, but Ji-Chen exerted deadly force, his palm as hard as iron, eyes completely bloodshot. Looking utterly like a madman, Ji-Chen publicly strangled Zhou Yu to death. Later, the police arrived. Ji-Chen was also sentenced to execution by firing squad for public murder. Before his death, he kept murmuring, "It shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be like this." When everything was finally settled, I suddenly remembered something and went to my parents' room in the middle of the night to shake them awake. My parents, bleary-eyed, scolded me, "You're really something else." With a serious expression, I told them about the possible gold mine in the cave tunnel of the Qinling Mountains. Upon hearing this, my dad got so excited he immediately did a sit-up. The next day, he then went to the Qinling Mountains with the company's exploration chief, carrying equipment. Sure enough, a massive gold mine was discovered inside the cave. During my college years, our family's company flourished because of this gold mine. Our assets instantly gained several extra zeros, and I became a rich second-generation heir. Everything from my past life seemed like nothing but a nightmare. Sunshine dispels the gloom. I walked toward my new life. The end. Story 2. I have feelings for my little uncle. For his sake, I refused the arranged marriage with my childhood sweetheart, but all he said was, "Like you, do you think I'm a beast? I'm your little uncle." I asked him, "But we don't have any blood relationship." He sneered coldly and retorted, "Do I really have to say it straight out that I don't like you at all?" Later, I died in a car accident on the day he got engaged to someone else. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day my childhood sweetheart proposed the arranged marriage. In full view of everyone, I nodded and agreed. The man who was always nonchalant suddenly went crazy. 1. Marriage is a big deal. Coincidentally, Mian Mian's little uncle has returned from abroad and will be here soon. Let's also hear his opinion. Upon hearing this, I immediately looked up at my grandmother. Ji Yanli has returned to the country ahead of schedule. In my previous life, I remembered it very clearly. My grandmother just called to ask for Ji Yanli's opinion, and that man refused in the cold tone I was most familiar with. I can't get away from the branch company in Luxembourg. I can't come back. It has nothing to do with me whom she marries. But this time, why is it different from the previous life? The next second, the sound of the private room door opening pulled my thoughts back. I looked up and met the gaze of the travel-worn man at the door from a distance. 2. Yanli, what do you think about Mian's marriage with the Song family? Probably not wanting to hear Ji Yanli's harsh sarcasm again, I directly took over my grandmother's words. Grandma, I'm already an adult. I can make my own decisions about such things. The man opposite snorted and smiled, tapping the tabletop casually with his fingertips. Then let her tell us her thoughts. Under the eyes of everyone, I took a deep breath. My tone was solemn. I'm willing to marry brother Song Yu. Song Yu is my childhood sweetheart whom I've grown up with. As soon as I finished speaking, the sound of tapping on the table stopped immediately. Ji Yanli stared at me without blinking. Grandma's voice sounded at the right moment. Since you also like your brother Song Yu, then Grandma doesn't have much else to say. I ignored Ji Yanli's gaze and nodded at Grandma and the others. Brother Song Yu just sent me a message saying he's waiting for me at the door, so I'll be leaving now. Stop. Ji Yanli, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly spoke. Ignoring the strange looks from others, he walked straight up to me. He looked down at me. Do you like him that you want to marry him? My voice was very calm. It doesn't matter whether I like him or not now, little uncle. Even if I don't have feelings for him now, we have a lifetime to cultivate them. After all, we'll be husband and wife soon. Ji Yanli looked at me with a dangerous tone. What did you call me? In the past, when I liked Ji Yanli, I always called him by his full name. This was the first time I called him little uncle. He was so angry that he laughed, and without asking for anyone's opinion, he directly pulled me away in front of others. Let go of me. I was pulled all the way to the parking lot by Ji Yanli. Ji Yanli sneered, his hand gripping tightly. Let you go to find your little fiancé. I just felt it was unintelligible. Even if so, it has nothing to do with you, little uncle. I deliberately emphasized the last few words. Upon hearing this, Ji Yanli really stopped. His jaw was tense. He lit a cigarette, seemingly to calm down. Either you get in the car with me and talk now, or I'll go talk to your brother Song Yu directly. I don't know if it's an illusion, but I always feel that Ji Yanli has a much worse temper this time. In the end, I still got into Ji Yanli's car. 3. You can't marry Song Yu. Ji Yanli looked at the steering wheel, his tone broking no argument. I smiled and was about to retort. Then the car window on the driver's side was knocked. This was a public parking lot, and there was a large shopping mall above. Brother Yanli, are you also here to go shopping in the mall? The delicate woman in front of us was Ji Yanli's fiancé in his previous life, Ningxi, but at this time in this life, she hadn't met me yet. The woman's gaze passed over Ji Yanli and she looked at me hesitantly. Who is this? I looked at her calmly and smiled. This is my little uncle. Sister, do you want to have a private chat with my little uncle? Then I'll leave now. As I said this, I started to unbuckle my seatbelt. Ningxi's cheeks turned slightly red. Thank you. Ji Yanli's abnormal behavior just now made me feel dazed for a moment, but the appearance of Ningxi immediately brought me back to reality. This was the destined female lead in Ji Yanli's life. Who said you could leave? Ji Yanli stopped my movement with a half smile. I instinctively looked up, but my vision spun around. I was held and sat on Ji Yanli's lap. He raised his hand and stroked my side face, his warm palm stroking all the way down to my chin. There was a lazy smile on his face. What's this? Playing the roles of uncle and niece, the man lowered his head and leaned closer to me, his breath spraying on my chin. His deep voice was particularly ambiguous at this moment. Little niece, how come I didn't know you had this kind of hobby? I was completely stunned, my mind going blank, unable to respond. I let Ji Yanli talk nonsense. He finally looked up at Ningxi, who was frozen outside the window. Miss Ning, do you have something to talk to me about? Does it have to be now? I'm not really convenient. After saying this, he held me and adjusted the seat backward, the hint being very obvious. Ningxi took 2 steps back with a pale face. Brother Yanli, how can you hold another woman? Don't you know that I like you? Ji Yanli turned his head and sneered. He seemed to think what she said was absurd. Listen, Ningxi, your liking me has nothing to do with me at all. Stop hovering around me like a fly, please. He deliberately emphasized the word please, and his repulsion towards Ningxi was clearly shown. I slowly came back to my senses. This was very wrong. Even if Ji Yanli disliked a woman, he had never made her so embarrassed in public. What's more, it was his fiancée whom he was engaged to in his previous life. While I was still thinking about it, Ningxi had already run away with tears in her eyes. Little uncle, can you let me go now? I just regarded him as using me as a shield. Ji Yanli's phone rang at this moment. Instead of letting me go, he held me even tighter. He used his other hand to answer the phone. Grandma's voice came from the other side. Yanli, what's the situation between you and Mian? Where did you take her? Yanli didn't answer in a hurry. Instead, he glanced at me and raised one eyebrow slightly. What did you just say? You want to get off my lap? I immediately held my breath and shook my head at him repeatedly, signaling him not to say anything. Grandma on the other end of the phone didn't hear clearly. What did you say? Yanli didn't speak, just looked at me leisurely. I closed my eyes, and had to grit my teeth and lean against his neck. Yanli immediately hugged me back. It's nothing, Mom. Yanli and I have some personal matters to sort out. Grandma didn't ask any more questions. She just gave a few words of advice and then hung up the phone. The air in the car suddenly became silent. Yanli stopped my movement of moving away. He leaned close to my ear. This is the reason why you can't marry Songyu. I slightly raised my head and looked into his eyes. But you said it yourself that you don't like me at all. Yanli turned his head and clicked his tongue. I didn't say such nonsense. He clearly said it. I won't believe him. I climbed back to the passenger seat huffing and puffing and was about to get out of the car, but the next second, he directly started the car. I leaned against the edge of the car window, counting the cars that whizzed by in boredom. I was also deep in thought, recalling Yanli's abnormal behavior. Suddenly, the car was slammed to a stop. I leaned forward due to inertia. There was a black Kian blocking the way in front of us. Songyu got out of the car. His face was cold and serious. Mian. Get out, I'll take you back. I instinctively glanced at Yanli. He casually tapped the steering wheel with his fingertips, looking at the boy in front of him with great interest. Did you call him here? No, for no reason. I felt a sense of low pressure. He lit a cigarette, and with a vague smile on his face, he said, your little fiancé has chased after you. I can't just pretend not to see it. After saying this, he stepped out of the car and locked the car door behind him. In the cold evening wind, the two men stood facing each other. Please let Mian out of the car. I won't let her go. What are you going to do about it? Songyu stopped arguing and directly walked towards the passenger seat, but the moment he got close, Yanli grabbed his arm. Songyu was slightly shorter than Yanli. He quickly fell into a disadvantage. He was pushed around by Yanli and slammed onto the front cover of his Kian. Yanli's hand was around his neck. What do you want to do to Mian? Songyu managed to say. Yanli unhurriedly flicked the ash off his cigarette with his other hand and crushed the cigarette butt on the car. Maybe I didn't make myself clear before. Stay away from her. This is my last warning to you. She's mine. She belongs to herself. Songyu spat out the words one by one. Yanli laughed softly and increased the strength in his hand. I finally found the spare key in the car, opened the door, and ran over in a hurry. Little uncle, let him go, I said as I tried to pull his hand away, but the man didn't move at all. Songyu was already on the verge of death. In a rush, I had to bite Yanli's wrist. He finally let go. I quickly helped Songyu up. Do you really feel sorry for him that much? Behind me came Yanli's emotionless voice. I'm also injured. Can't you see it? I stopped moving. As soon as I turned around, he picked me up forcefully and threw me onto the back seat of the car. He also got into the car. Just as he was about to start the car, I struggled desperately. What are you doing, Yanli? Didn't you see that Songyu is already? The man stepped on the gas, and the car roared softly. He held the steering wheel with one hand and smiled lazily. Do you believe that if you mention him one more time, I'll drive over and kill him? Through the rearview mirror, I met Yanli's gaze. My hand clenched the cushion tightly in the dark. Yanli. Killing people is against the law. Are you ignorant of the law? Yanli leaned leisurely against the backrest, his eyes playful. You're right, so I'm going to run over his legs. What do you think? The Song family doesn't have only one son. Moreover, it's Songyu's father who is begging me for the project now. Do you think the Song family wants a project that can firmly establish their position in the business world, or do they want their son's two legs? He laid out the pros and cons in front of me, forcing me to make a choice. I couldn't just ignore Songyu. In my previous life, when everyone accused me of not being supposed to like Yanli and being shameless, it was Songyu who protected me time and time again. Little uncle, I'm sorry. In this battle without any cards, I had to admit defeat and show weakness. Yanli didn't move, and the front of the car was still facing Songyu. Okay, so what should you do in the future? I lowered my eyes and my voice was very soft. I won't contact him again. Yanli's voice softened a bit. Sit back in the front. I did as he said. The man leaned over to fasten my seatbelt for me, and his fingertips rubbed my earlobe. So good. Yanli finally turned the car around and left. I held the seatbelt tightly and looked straight ahead. It was as if I didn't hear Songyu shouting my name behind me at all. 5. I was taken back to Ji Yanli's villa in the suburbs by him. I stood numbly in the entrance hall, watching him walk to the wine cabinet and drink up the whiskey in the glass in one gulp. He looked up at me while holding an ice cube in his mouth. "Why are you unhappy?" The sound of him biting the ice cube, accompanied by his casual steps, made me shiver involuntarily. Ji Yanli stopped in front of me and stared into my eyes. "Is it because of Songyu? What exactly do you want?" There was still a trace of a crying tone in my voice. "Tong Mian. Don't play dumb with me," I sniffled. "Ji Yanli, if you like me, why do you still force me to do so many things?" Ji Yanli didn't think there was anything wrong with that. He gently rubbed my head. "Because you're not obedient enough." All the words I wanted to refute got stuck in my throat. When Grandma called Ji Yanli again, I couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Finally, the only person who could save me had come. "Yanli, when will you come over? We need to discuss Mian Mian's marriage." Ji Yanli looked at me with drooping eyelids, his tone indifferent. I almost forgot. "What? Tong Mian's wedding is cancelled." My eyes widened instantly. Grandma was also puzzled on the other end. "Why?" I had a bad feeling. Ji Yanli looked at me. But he was speaking into the phone. He drawled, but his tone was beyond dispute. "Because she's going to marry me. You'd better not interfere in our business." After saying this, he hung up the phone. "Ji Yanli, are you crazy?" I felt like I was on the verge of a breakdown. "What nonsense did you talk to Grandma? Are you trying to force me to death?" Ji Yanli threw his phone on the coffee table, picked me up, and then pressed me onto the sofa the next second. We were so close that I could hear his breathing. "Didn't you say that you like me and only want to marry me?" I couldn't break free, so I simply turned my head slightly to the side. That was in the past. Ji Yanli held my chin, forcing me to look at him. "Then like me again, Tong Mian. As long as you stay by my side obediently, I can wait." His gaze moved down to the side of my neck. He leaned closer. The next second, I felt a kiss on the side of my neck. My body tensed up involuntarily. Ji Yanli seemed to be getting even closer. "Don't." I tried to find my voice. The man stopped his movement. After a while, he propped himself up with his arm and moved away a bit, hovering above me. "Little uncle, can you let me go?" Ji Yanli was still smiling, but his eyes were filled with coldness. He placed his fingertips on my lips and gently rubbed them. The meaning was obvious. The remaining words were stiffly swallowed back by me. When Ji Yanli still maintained that posture, the door at the side and rear was suddenly pushed open. A ray of light poured in, and I squinted my eyes due to the glare. "What are you doing?" Ningxi stood at the door with her eyes wide open in anger. Ji Yanli's expression instantly darkened, and he stood up. "Were you following me? Would I have seen this scene if I hadn't followed you?" The veins on her forehead were clearly bulging. "She seduced you, didn't she? Brother Yanli, tell me, it's like that, isn't it?" There was a hint of madness in Ningxi's eyes. Ji Yanli didn't say anything. He picked up his phone and called the security guard. Taking advantage of this gap, Ningxi suddenly strode over. Before I could react, she took out the eyebrow trimmer that she had hidden in her hand and slashed towards my face. There was no time to dodge, so I instinctively closed my eyes tightly, but I didn't feel the pain I had expected. "Brother Yanli." I opened my eyes. Ji Yanli's arm was in front of me. Bright red blood dripped drop by drop along the wound onto my pants. Spreading out, Ji Yanli didn't pause. He directly bent Ningxi's arm inward. The eyebrow trimmer in his hand was pointed directly at her own neck. "Why are you so cheap? Huh, a few hours ago, I just rejected you, and now you're sticking to me again. Is it my fault that I like you?" Ningxi was forced to take step by step backward, and even a bloody mark had been pressed out on her neck by the blade. "You'll soon know if it's wrong or not." Ji Yanli let out a soft laugh and threw Ningxi away. I heard the approaching sound of footsteps. The security guards arrived and took Ningxi away while apologizing. She was in a sorry state, but she was still crying and looking at Ji Yanli. "Were you scared?" Ji Yanli put away his usual carefree attitude and was rarely serious. "Did she touch you?" I stared blankly at the man who was crouching in front of me, looking rather nervous. I spoke slowly. "You're the one who's injured." It seemed that he only noticed his wound at this moment. Half an hour later, the doctor left after bandaging the wound. I opened my mouth, with mixed emotions. "Thank you, little uncle." Ji Yanli was not affected by the wound at all. He took out a cigarette and bit it. There was a slight mocking smile in his voice. "You already hate me enough. If you got injured because of me, you'd probably hate me to death, wouldn't you? How could I give you that chance?" I ignored his awkward words that were the opposite of what he really meant. I just stared at the bandaged part of his wound and remembered a lot of things. I initially fell in love with Ji Yanli just because he was kind to me. When I was blocked by hooligans in high school and they tried to give me love letters, Ji Yanli specifically staked them out for a week. After finding them, he gave them a good lesson. When my university supervisor replaced my scholarship quota with someone else's, Ji Yanli didn't say something like it's not much money anyway. I'll give you 10 times that amount. Instead, he seriously helped me get back my justice and the scholarship. The atmosphere was unexpectedly relaxed. I was just about to take the opportunity to persuade him to let me go. I accidentally glanced at the phone on the coffee table that kept flashing, indicating that a message had come in. When I picked it up and opened it, I suddenly froze. Song-yu, Mian. I just got home and fixed my phone. Are you okay, Song-yu? Ji Yanli just announced the news that you two are getting married. Are you being forced? Ji Yanli had already announced it. I thought it was just something he casually said to dismiss grandma. I mechanically looked at the man who was playing with his phone. Ji Yanli, what are you doing? He didn't even look up and replied casually, contacting the wedding planner. When did I agree to marry you? The white light from the screen shone on the man's face. He stopped his movement. It was not until the phone automatically turned off the screen that Ji Yanli threw away the phone and walked towards me. Ever since you agreed to the arranged marriage with Song-yu today, I've been very impatient. Don't provoke me anymore. Tong Mian, there are only the two of us in this house. You don't want me to move things forward so quickly, do you? Under his gentle tone was the most deadly warning to me, I think. Probably from that moment on. The last bit of my concern for him was completely exhausted. 7. On the 15th day since I moved in, Ji Yanli came back during working hours. I'm free today. I'll take you to try on wedding dresses. I just ignored the man's words. I hugged my knees and curled up on the sofa, staring blankly at the TV in front of me. During these 15 days, Ji Yanli didn't even lock the door when he went to the company. And he didn't ask the bodyguards to keep watch. He was certain that I didn't dare to run away. In the silent confrontation, Ji Yanli's eyes became darker and darker. Finally, he directly picked me up and put me in the passenger seat. Ji Yanli, is this interesting? He stopped the action of buckling my seatbelt and looked up. I don't like you, and I won't give you any response. Is it interesting for you to perform a monologue all by yourself? Ji Yanli lowered his eyes and smiled softly. It's not interesting, so if you continue to look so listless, click. The seatbelt was fastened, and he raised his hand and gently patted my side face. I'll bring your brother Song-yu over to amuse me. How about that? This was the so-called, like in Ji Yanli's words, an obsessive and pathological possessiveness. He would always only threaten me to make me yield. The car was driving steadily, and I turned my head towards the window. The quiet atmosphere was suddenly broken by a harsh screech of brakes. I was startled for a moment. I turned my head back and just met Ji Yanli's distracted gaze. Can't you drive? Get lost if you can't drive. The car that stopped on the side in front was a dazzling green McLaren, and the owner cursed and turned around and left. A dense chill immediately crept up my spine. The car that caused the accident in which I died unexpectedly in my previous life was a McLaren of the same color. I had originally thought that Ji Yanli's sudden and abnormal behavior was due to the butterfly effect caused by my agreement to the arranged marriage with Song-yu in this life, but now, I have a bold guess. Mian. Ji Yanli leaned over and hugged me tightly in his arms. I could feel his fear. I closed my eyes slightly and then spoke softly. Ji Yanli, you actually remember everything, don't you? I wasn't the only one who was reborn. He clearly paused for a moment, then he hugged me even tighter. His voice was hoarse. Almost every night, I'm awakened by nightmares. When I rushed there in the dream, you were still stuck in the driver's seat. They stopped me and wouldn't let me go to you, until the car exploded. They still didn't rescue you. I just watched helplessly. I felt a little wetness in the crook of my neck. They were Ji Yanli's tears. You were engulfed by the fire in front of me, leaving nothing behind. 8, I think. Maybe I shouldn't have exposed the fact that he was reborn. Ji Yanli had already guessed that I was reborn a long time ago. I lifted the last layer of the half-hidden veil between us, and what awaited me would be an even more terrifying. Ji Yanli, you've always been blaming me, haven't you? Ji Yanli pressed his hands on my shoulders, and the last bit of reason in his eyes was on the verge of collapse. He told me that in the past, he thought it was wrong for me to like him, that it was against morality. He got engaged to Ningxi in order to force me to back down. In fact, he had already fallen in love with me. I sighed. Whether you feel guilty or you've really fallen in love with me, it doesn't matter anymore. Ji Yanli, I met his gaze, and without being petty, I said word by word, the point is, I really don't like you anymore. When I see you, I don't feel the slightest bit of excitement. When you confess to me and say you want to marry me, it just makes me more disgusted, really. The next second, a sharp pain came from my shoulder. It was Ji Yanli exerting force. Then tell me what to do. Tong Mian, I got a chance to start over. How can I let go? He wouldn't listen to anything. I was so irritable and depressed that I couldn't catch my breath. The matter of trying on wedding dresses was forced to be terminated. Ji Yanli took me back to the villa in silence all the way. He went straight to the wine cabinet and took sip after sip, after drinking about 4 or 5 glasses. He finally calmed down a bit. I knew that Ji Yanli, who was emotionally unstable at the moment, was the most untouchable. But Song Yu ran into this situation. Boss, a person was caught outside the villa. He seems to have been trying to climb over the wall to get in. Bring him in. Song Yu was pushed in by the bodyguards. My breath involuntarily quickened, and I shuddered. Ji Yanli had no expression on his face, but there was a violent aura in his eyes, as if a storm was about to come. Little uncle, please don't hurt him. Before I could finish speaking, I was silenced by the wine bottle that was smashed in front of Song Yu. What did you promise me? I quickly shook my head. I didn't call him. I really didn't contact him. Song Yu stood in front of me with a solemn face. It has nothing to do with Mian Mian. I came here on my own to take her away. Is that so? The corner of Ji Yanli's mouth curved into an arc, showing a hint of insolence. Who do you think you are to want to take her away? She doesn't want to stay here. She's not happy staying by your side. Even if I'm nothing, I will do my best to take her away. Ji Yanli leaned against the wine cabinet obliquely and clapped his hands symbolically. How great. After making the comment, he looked at me teasingly. Are you touched? I blinked my eyes and tried hard to swallow back the choking feeling. No, don't listen to him. I don't want to leave here. I was almost begging. Let him go. Okay, I don't want to see you hit someone. I'm scared. Ji Yanli walked over slowly and sat me on the sofa with his arm around me. Don't be afraid. I won't do it myself. I didn't relax easily. Ji Yanli, let her go. Song Yu was pressed on the shoulders by the bodyguards and growled. Ji Yanli raised his eyebrows, leaned close to my ear suggestively, and asked in a low voice, do you like him? No, I don't like him. I immediately denied it. I wasn't deliberately lying to appease Ji Yanli. I really only regarded Song Yu as my brother. I agreed to the arranged marriage just to repay grandma for her kindness in adopting me. Ji Yanli stared into my eyes scrutinizingly. After a while, he seemed to believe me and nodded. Then do you like me? I only hesitated for a second, and Ji Yanli's face turned cold. Yes, I answered while crying. I like you. Ji Yanli gently wiped my tears. Why are you crying? He pinched my chin and lifted it up. If you like me, you won't try to avoid me, right? The wine droplets splashed on the man's collar evaporated in the air. I couldn't help but grab the cuff of his sleeve, not daring to use much force, a few centimeters before touching. Beast, are you trying to force her to death? Song Yu couldn't bear it anymore. Come at me directly. Why are you threatening her? Ji Yanli stopped and let me go. He pretended to be in a difficult situation and gave a soft sneer. Tong Mian, look. It's not that I'm not keeping my promise. It's your brother Song Yu who keeps courting death again and again. Ji Yanli walked over, grabbed the back of Song Yu's neck, and forced him to lower his head. How much ability do you have to show off? As he spoke, he pressed Song Yu's neck down. His face was getting closer and closer to the broken pieces of the wine bottle on the floor. Ji Yanli, if you don't kill me today, I will come again to save Mian Mian. I held the phone and shouted out in a breakdown. Ji Yanli, don't touch him anymore. You're violently beating others in a group. If you take another action, I'll call the police. Not pretending anymore. Ji Yanli still had that calm and confident attitude. He raised his chin. Go ahead and call. What do you mean by violent group beating? He broke into a private residence. I'm just defending myself. Ji Yanli squatted in front of Song Yu and casually picked up a piece of glass shard. You can try and see who the people's police will take away when they come. My face gradually turned pale, and I let my hand drop feebly. The phone fell to the ground accordingly. Ji Yanli played with the piece of glass shard in his hand. I nervously followed his hand with my gaze. Afraid that he would stab Song Yu with it, he smiled meaninglessly. As for you, don't keep talking about killing people. Do you understand the law? Here's what we'll do. He looked at the glass shard and then at Song Yu. If you swallow it, I won't pursue this matter today. How about it? Or, I'll have someone force your mouth open and stuff all these pieces in, and then send you to the hospital for gastric lavage. Sweat dripped from the black hair on Song Yu's forehead and landed on the ground. After a period of resistance, he had no strength left. I forced myself to hold back the weakness in my legs and walked over to Ji Yanli. I barely managed to smile and hugged his waist. Stop making trouble. Okay, I'll be obedient and listen to you from now on. Weren't you going to take me to choose a dress? Let's go. You can help me choose, and I'll help you choose. Okay. Behind me came Song Yu's horse crying. Mian Mian, don't bow down to him. I seemed not to hear him and just buried my head in the crook of Ji Yanli's neck. He's so noisy. Throw him out. Ji Yanli was like caressing a docile pet, casually stroking the back of my head. Why are you being so obedient all of a sudden? Weren't you still threatening to call the police? I was wrong. I overestimated my abilities. Ji Yanli's hand moved down and rubbed my ear. Mian Mian. Since we're going to act, we might as well do it thoroughly. He said in a voice that only the two of us could hear. Then he turned my body around to face Song Yu. Tell him, are you willing to marry me voluntarily? I knew that my bitter smile must look very ugly at this moment, but Ji Yanli behind me was like a gun pointed at my head. Song Yu, I really want to marry Ji Yanli. Please don't bother us anymore. It really bothers me. Song Yu opened his mouth with difficulty but couldn't say a word. The sadness in his eyes was about to overflow. I'm sorry. He was apologizing for not being able to take me away and forcing me to agree to marry Ji Yanli. Song Yu was sent away, and it was as if all my strength had been drained from me. I knelt and sat on the carpet, motionless. I didn't lay a finger on that idiot. What are you still dissatisfied with? Ji Yanli stood in front of me, looking down at me. I replied feebly, nothing. I'm very satisfied. He bent down and picked me up, carrying me towards my room. He's just a useless coward. That car accident wasn't an accident, it was man-made. I looked up. Ningxi ordered someone to do it, he added in a cold voice. When he found out, he didn't do anything. He just kept crying in front of your tombstone. I stared at him in a daze, and my intuition led me to ask, what about you? Ji Yanli stopped in his tracks, and his black eyes looking at me were bottomless. I killed her. I instantly lost all ability to think. Ji Yanli's eyes were dark and gloomy. She planned everything. Just to make me watch you die in front of me on the spot. Should such a bitch die, in this life? Ji Yanli's extraordinary hatred for Ningxi could now be explained. I suddenly remembered the last words Ji Yanli said to Ningxi at that time, so, I paused for a moment before asking softly, what's happening to Ningxi now? Ji Yanli's tone was light, as if he was talking about something insignificant. She's in a mental hospital. A cold sweat broke out in my palms. Ningxi killed me. And Ji Yanli avenged me by killing Ningxi. Even in this life, he had the foresight to lock her up in a mental hospital to prevent her from hurting me. But my first reaction wasn't gratitude. What welled up in me was fear. Fear of the madness and paranoia of the man in front of me. Ji Yanli placed me on the bed and then pressed down on me. I turned my head away in rejection and put my hand on his shoulder. No, why? He didn't move, and his voice was so soft that it was almost a whisper. Ji Yanli. You and I both know the reason. Don't force me to hate you even more. Ji Yanli's hand slid down to my waist. Tong Mian, what do you hate about me? Is it just because of Song Yu? He straightened up and began to unbutton his clothes from top to bottom. His voice was unhurried. When someone hurt you, I took revenge for you. Since the first time I saw you after returning to the country, I've avenged all the bullying you've suffered. Now you're telling me that you hate me because of a useless childhood sweetheart. I can die for you. Can he? At that time, I just thought he was saying it casually in an extreme mood, but you've been forcing me, even house arrest me. Ji Yanli stopped just as he was unbuttoning one of his buttons. The lamp above his head was just blocked by him. The dim yellow light haloed around him, making it hard for me to see his expression clearly. The next moment, Ji Yanli suddenly got up. All the things on the bedside table were swept to the ground by him with a crash. I shrank back in fright. His gaze slowly moved from the mess on the ground to me. He asked emotionlessly, then what should I do? The first time I saw you in this life, you were about to marry Song Yu. Did you ever give me a chance? So what's the meaning of my living this life again? Is it to watch you fall in love with someone else and marry someone else? You all will have a fulfilling life. While I'm still trapped in the past, trapped in the nightmare of that car accident, is that fair to me? Ji Yanli suddenly lost control. He picked up the fallen table lamp and smashed it against the empty wall beside me. Speak. Facing him like this, I couldn't provoke him any further. Tears slowly welled up in my eyes as I looked at Ji Yanli. I sobbed softly. Are you going to hit me? Ji Yanli stared at me intently. After a few seconds, he closed his eyes. He sat down by the bedside and gently hugged me into his arms. No, I will never hurt you. Did I scare you? He raised one hand and gently rubbed my head. I'm sorry, Mian Mian, but I wasn't suited. I still cried intermittently. Ji Yanli also kept coaxing me softly, until I was tired from crying and fell asleep. In a half-awake and half-asleep state, a gentle kiss landed on my forehead. I fluttered my eyelashes and fell into a deep sleep. 10. The plan to choose a dress the next day was delayed again. Because I had a fever, the high fever wouldn't go down. After the family doctor came and gave me an 4 drip, he just told Ji Yanli, Mr. G, it's not necessarily that this girl caught a chill, she might also have been frightened. Ji Yanli watched me fall asleep last night. He had to believe that I got sick because he scared me. In fact, I got up in the middle of the night, turned the shower to the lowest temperature, and shivered under the cold water for 15 minutes. Why are you so delicate? Ji Yanli sat down beside me and rubbed the side of my face with the back of his hand. I just took advantage of the fever-induced drowsiness to avoid all communication with him, to stay by my side. Ji Yanli moved his office to his study at home. But every night I would throw away the medicine prescribed by the doctor. If my body temperature went down, I would take a cold shower again. As a result, I kept having a recurring high fever, and my body was getting weaker and weaker. She's had a fever, and she still hasn't recovered. Ji Yanli looked at the doctor with a half-smile, maintaining the last bit of politeness. The doctor sighed. He said neither humbly nor arrogantly, Mr. G. Long-term psychological problems can lead to a decrease in immunity, and it's not uncommon for the illness to relapse. This girl is getting weaker day by day. If the root cause of the illness can't be treated, she might get seriously ill, or even. The rest of the words were self-explanatory. It was a long time after the doctor left that I heard the approaching footsteps. Ji Yanli lowered his eyes and suppressed all his emotions. Do you hate me that much? I coughed twice but didn't respond. Ji Yanli silently helped me up to drink some water, then helped me lie down again and tucked in the corner of the quilt. He didn't say anything and left. I knew that he was already starting to waver. I might be even more despicable than Ji Yanli. I knew that Ji Yanli liked me and bet on his reluctance to let me go. I hurt myself to force him to let me leave. In this life, every time Ji Yanli forced me and made me emotionally break down, I never thought of fighting him to the death. Being reborn was a second chance for me to make up for my regrets and choose my life again. It wasn't worth it to fight someone to the death. 11. When I thought I was almost going to die of illness and was about to take the medicine because I couldn't hold on anymore, Ji Yanli finally gave in. Intentionally torturing yourself. The man standing by the bedside had silent eyes like a still body of water. I weakly curved my lips and my voice was dry. Let me go, or watch me die in front of you again. When I said again, Ji Yanli frowned. I was deliberately poking at his sore spot. After saying that, I couldn't help coughing. My lungs felt as if they were being gently burned by fire, itchy and painful. Ji Yanli didn't hesitate to come over, pat my back gently, and hand me a glass of water. I didn't take it immediately. When the coughing finally stopped, I had a premonition of something. Why don't you drink it? I paused and opened my hand that had just been covering my mouth. Several spots of blood were prominently lying in my palm. The next second, I heard the sound of a glass breaking. Ji Yanli's hand stopped in the air, and the cup fell from his weakened grip. He stared fixedly at my palm, his eyes bloodshot. Do you have to force yourself to death? A faint itch welled up in my throat again, and I coughed twice. Ji Yanli took a deep breath, as if suppressing something. He took out his phone and called the driver, giving a calm order, drive to the door. Go to the hospital. He took a coat and draped it over me, then took a piece of paper, but he never looked me in the eye from beginning to end. When you recover from your illness, I'll let you go. Ji Yanli opened my palm and wiped the blood on it. His voice was very soft, giving the impression of not caring much, and I will definitely not pester you anymore. If you didn't listen carefully, you couldn't hear the tremor in his enunciation. I knew that I couldn't give him any more chances at this time, so I said something that made him even more sad. Thank you, little uncle. I'll be much happier without you. I also hope that you can find a girlfriend in the future. I'll be happy for you. His hand holding the paper trembled for a moment. Then he wordlessly picked me up, carried me to the car, and took me to the hospital. After getting 2 days of intravenous drips in the hospital, I was taken back to Ji Yanli's villa to recuperate, but he rarely appeared in front of me anymore. He left early and came back late every day. The night before I left, there was a knock on the door of my room. Who is it? It's me. When I heard Ji Yanli's voice, I couldn't help but become alert. What's the matter? I'm already asleep. The person outside the door paused for a moment before asking in a low voice. The weather forecast says it will be cold and rainy tomorrow. You've just recovered a bit. Why don't you leave the day after tomorrow? I blurted out a refusal. No need. Brother Song Yu will pick me up on his way. After about another minute, I almost thought Ji Yanli had already left when I heard his voice again. Okay. 12. The next day, it was just getting light, and the rain was still falling patter. There was no sign of Ji Yanli in the living room. I raised my hand and was about to push the door open. Tong Mian. If I didn't completely get rid of Ji Yanli, I would always be worried that he would go back on his word. I frowned and turned around, meeting my wary gaze. He seemed to be stung and lowered his eyes. He was holding a white scarf in his hand. He opened it and put it around my neck. I instinctively took a step back, and his movement also paused for a moment. The scarf can keep you warm. Don't let your illness relapse. Thank you. I replied and my gaze fell on Song Yu outside the window. I thought that my eagerness to leave was written all over my face. Ji Yanli smiled self-deprecatingly and said slowly, maybe I really have some psychological problems, which is why I tried every abnormal means to keep you. Sorry. Only then did I look at him directly. The man in front of me had a hint of tiredness between his eyebrows and eyes. After a long time, I just nodded, then I opened the door and left. I didn't look back even once, in the following years, as Ji Yanli promised me. He never appeared in front of me again. It wasn't difficult to fall in love with Song Yu. He always put me first in everything. He wasn't overbearing or violent. He would always listen to my thoughts gently, but he definitely wasn't lacking in a sense of responsibility either. I agreed to Song Yu's proposal in the late autumn of the third year. This time, there was no business arranged marriage. It was just driven by pure love. On the day of the wedding, I didn't send an invitation to Ji Yanli. Only Grandma called him, but on the day of the wedding, he still didn't show up. Later, I heard from Song Yu that Ji Yanli actually gave the project to Song Yu among Song Yu's company and another competing company. One day, on a whim, I went downstairs to the company to wait for Song Yu to get off work. A car quickly passed by in the nearby parking lot. I hadn't thought of Ji Yanli for a long time. But at that moment, I suddenly remembered, Ji Yanli used to have a car of the same series. Mian Mian, Song Yu's voice interrupted my trance. I raised my lips and walked towards him. I'm here to pick you up from work. Song Yu raised his eyebrows slightly. Then who will drive? I squinted my eyes and smiled, feeling justified. You drive. He chuckled and put his arm around me and left. The project encountered problems at a crucial point. And at the same time, I was also found to be pregnant. Song Yu hesitated to speak. It took him a long time to speak with difficulty. One of the factories in the south was hit by a mountain flood. Not only were all the most crucial components destroyed, but it was also said that some workers were killed. Ji Yanli and I have to go there. I comforted him. It doesn't matter. Mountain floods are frequent at this time of the year. You have to pay attention to your safety, you know. I didn't expect that my words would come true. Half a month later, only Song Yu came back alone. He knelt in front of Grandma, his face mixed with blood and tears. Ji Yanli saved me. I'm sorry for you. I suddenly raised my head, as if I couldn't understand what he was saying. Song Yu said that on the way down the mountain with Ji Yanli, a flood suddenly broke out. They didn't have any experience and couldn't escape. There was only a stone half embedded and half exposed nearby as a high place. It was Ji Yanli who found it. Yanli. What do you think about Mian Mian's marriage with the Song family? When Song Yu turned his head, a torrent suddenly gushed out, and he couldn't see Ji Yanli's figure anymore. He was prepared to die, but he didn't even have time to say a final word. When I stood in front of his tombstone and looked into his black and white photo, I felt as if I had traveled through time. I hadn't seen Ji Yanli for many years, because I didn't care. His features had unconsciously faded from my memory, until now. His outline became clear again. I suddenly remembered what he had said for no apparent reason. I can die for you. Can he? So, did you save Song Yu for my sake? But no one would answer me anymore. On that day, before I left the cemetery, I met Ji Yanli's assistant, Miss Tong. Mr. Ji had already made a will, except for the fixed share for the old lady. All the property under his name belongs to you. After saying that, he seemed to remember something and continued to add, Mr. Ji said it was in the name of your little uncle, so you don't have to think too much about it. Another half-month passed. The local police in the south called Grandma. I was afraid that Grandma would be stimulated, so I answered the phone for her. The result was that Ji Yanli's body wasn't found. There was only a cloth amulet with some characters embroidered on it. It wasn't certain if it belonged to Ji Yanli. I asked, what are the characters? The other side said, may Mian Mian be safe and sound. Story 2. In a previous life, Jiang Hao rushed into a burning building to save his good brother. Ignoring my desperate attempts to stop him, he ended up with 45% of his face burned and a permanent disability in his left hand. However, when I suggested breaking up to let him be with Li Meng, they took to the internet to write about how I was a heartless woman abandoning a hero who had saved others from a fire, which led to me being cyberbullied by millions. In the second year of suffering from depression, my family forced me into marriage with Jiang Hao by offering a dowry of 500,000 yuan. Li Meng did not attend our wedding but was waiting at our new home early to consummate the marriage on my behalf. I didn't disturb them. Instead, I silently turned on the gas in the kitchen, and when Jiang Hao rushed to turn it off, I pulled out a lighter. Let's meet in hell then. A fire treats everyone equally, regardless of who they are. I thought it would bring me relief, but after intense pain, I found myself back in the apartment I rented over 2 years ago. There, Jiang Hao and I were cuddling on the sofa, watching a movie. His left arm was around my neck, and he held a cigarette in his right hand. My mouth, seemingly out of control, pointed at the screen and endlessly talked about wanting a big bed like the one in the movie for our new home. Jiang Hao chuckled softly, "Sure, as long as you like it, we'll get whatever you want." As he spoke, he leaned over to kiss me. I was terrified and wanted to resist, but then I heard a familiar ringtone. Jiang Hao had set a special ringtone for Li Meng, recorded by her. "Aren't you going to answer the phone, my dear son? What are you up to that's so shady? Forgot your brother now that you have a wife? Huh, if you don't answer, you're buying the next round of skewers." It was a recording of Li Meng teasing as she ran, with Jiang Hao chasing after her. Her exaggerated laughter and heavy breathing clear in the background. Jiang Hao picked up the phone as if it were a royal decree. "What now, my lady? You sure have a knack for timing. Ah how, save me, cough cough, my house is on fire, I might die, ah how, save me, cough cough." Li Meng was coughing violently as she hung up. Jiang Hao stood up from the sofa, his face serious and anxious, pacing back and forth. He called Li Meng several times, but she didn't answer. He grabbed his jacket. "Su Qiao. Something's happened to Li Meng, we need to go check on her." "Why, can't we just not go?" Jiang Hao paused, looking at me with disappointment. "Su Qiao, are you even human?" Li Meng said her house is on fire. "It's a matter of life and death, and you don't care at all." "I don't care, I'm not her mother. Why should I worry? It's you who's all worked up over another woman, accusing your own girlfriend of not being human. What are you trying to say?" "Su Qiao, what are you doing now? You know how close I am with Li Meng. We've been good buddies for years. You should pick your moments." "Jiang Hao, what if I forbid you from going?" Jiang Hao scoffed and turned to leave, as he was changing his shoes at the entrance. I spoke again. "Jiang Hao, I'm giving you one last chance. If you go to Li Meng today, we're breaking up. From now on, you can be with Li Meng, just don't come looking for me." Jiang Hao replied, "Break up? Just because my brother needs me?" "Su Qiao. You've really shown me what it means when they say brothers are like limbs, women are like clothes. If I ever face trouble in the future, I don't know if you would come, but I know for sure that Li Meng would. So today, I must make sure she's safe. If you want to break up, then let's break up. But remember, the problem lies with you, not me. I have a clear conscience." After saying that, he turned and rushed out of the front door, seeing both elevators occupied. He sprinted down the stairs instead. We live on the 7th floor, and running down indeed proved faster than walking. I don't know why, even when I was prepared to go through hell, I find myself back in the realm of the living. Could it be that even fate thinks I lived through hell in my past life? I won't make the same mistakes again. Earlier, while Jiang Hao was changing his shoes, I took a photo of him tying his shoelaces. Now, I'm posting it directly to my social circle. "You run to her in the shoes I bought you," making the past 3 years of my life seem like a joke. Every time it's the same, a single call from her, and whether we are kissing or hugging, you'd stop everything, whenever she commands. All our plans get scrapped. 3 years in a relationship, loving you so humbly. Even though I'm the official girlfriend, I always felt secondary, like a spare tire filling the void in your heart whenever she doesn't need you. We were even planning the decor for our new house, yet a call from her, and you left me behind again. 3 years by your side, and all I received was an "if you want to break up, then let's break up." I even started feeling cheap. Enough is enough. All the demeaning things I did for you, I'm taking it all back today. I've paid the rent until next month and settled this quarter's utilities. You'll need to learn how to handle these going forward. Don't forget, I know you have no experience renting on your own. Since I met you, you've wanted to start your own business, never worked a day, and probably don't have much savings, so I chose to move out, leaving everything in the apartment for you. After all, this place reeks of you. And I can't stand it anymore. I just hope from now on we can go our separate ways and never disturb each other again. Jiang Hao, I genuinely wish you and Li Meng happiness and a long-lasting love. Love her well and stop using the guise of being good buddies to hurt innocent girls. The hardships, tears, and grievances I've endured over these 3 years, don't let another girl suffer them. Jiang Hao, love Li Meng well, I wish you happiness. It takes about 15 minutes to drive from my place to Li Meng's. I must make every second count during this time, posting about my breakup with Jiang Hao because of his best buddy Li Meng across all my social platforms, letting everyone know. Besides the last photo I took of him changing his shoes, there are also screenshots of our chats. Over 3 years, Jiang Hao and I argued countless times because of Li Meng. He stood me up more times than I can count for her sake. It seems whenever I had a date planned with Jiang Hao, Li Meng always had some crisis. I posted 8 screenshots on WeChat where Jiang Hao apologized for standing me up because of Li Meng. Then on Weibo, I posted 18. After that, I quickly packed up some essentials, dragged my luggage downstairs, and took another photo for my social circle. Goodbye, no matter how hard it is to let go. During the years I was cyberbullied, I never understood why it had to be me who suffered. Later, I thought maybe it's because Li Meng knows how to speak, to show vulnerability, to cry, to talk about emotions. She would die for Jiang Hao's happiness, so this time, let her be the one to personally bring him happiness. I took a taxi straight to the airport and bought a ticket for tonight's flight to Yunnan. Having just broken up, I was devastated. Traveling to clear my mind seemed reasonable, right? As soon as I landed and turned on my phone, it was bombarded with messages. I was flooded with over 99 notifications. Jiang Hao's idiot friends were shamelessly texting, Su Qiao, Jiang Hao needs you now. How could you leave him at a time like this? There's absolutely nothing romantic between Jiang Hao and Li Meng. All of us brothers can vouch for that. Su Qiao, Jiang Hao is in the emergency room fighting for his life. Come back and take care of him. Aren't you afraid of being criticized if you abandon him now? Afraid? Of course, I'm not afraid. Not only am I not afraid, I even feel like laughing. I ignored those messages and then saw many voice messages from my best friend. She started by cursing Jiang Hao. Damn, you finally broke up, sister. Jiang Hao is such trash. I told you he was no good. And that Li Meng, what a bitch. Thinks she can rely solely on her male best friends. Disgusting. You were so naive to pay his rent and utilities for so many years. A dog would have been better to keep than him, and you left the house to him. Why should you? He doesn't even deserve a doghouse. Why did you go to Yunnan? To heal from the breakup. Send me your hotel info when you get off the plane. I'll catch the next flight to join you. Damn sister. Karma really does exist in this world. Truly, you breaking up with Jiang Hao was so timely. Just an hour later and you wouldn't have been able to escape. Jiang Hao got burned trying to save Li Meng and was rushed to the hospital. Fang Fang was extremely agitated until she got on her flight. I listened to her voice messages over and over, alone in my hotel room, tears streaming down my face, because in my past life, when I was alone, unsupported, and tortured by depression to the point of wishing I were dead, she was the only one there for me as always. She didn't know how to comfort me, and at that time I had completely closed myself off, not allowing anyone near, so she would often send me voice messages. Share her experiences as if nothing had happened, treating me like a normal person. In my past life, when I died, she was probably still single, had bought a camper van, traveled with a big yellow dog, and became a travel blogger with over 1 million fans. She must have been busy, had many friends, taken many ads, and seen many sights, but she still messaged me, sent photos. Let me see the roads she traveled and the views she saw. Ciao ciao, you should have come with me, you would have loved it. That was what she told me the most, her consistent attitude towards me, her understanding and support from start to finish, her years of friendship amidst the overwhelming unjust criticism and moral coercion, were as fine as spider silk, yet capable of bearing immense weight. It was the only ray of light that pierced through my dark world. I still fear crowds, even though those people aren't blaming or cursing me online anymore. Not dredging up every traceable event from my childhood to scrutinize and judge. But those deep-seated fears and aversions aren't something that just disappear after rebirth. I checked Fang Fang's flight and estimated the time, then went down to the hotel lobby to wait for her. It was already past 3 in the morning, and there were only a few people at the hotel entrance. I stood alone, tucked in a corner under a column, and as soon as Fang Fang got out of the taxi, she glanced at the few people at the entrance and made a beeline towards me. For me, it had been over 2 years since I last saw her, but for her, it was as if we had just gone to a newly opened hot pot restaurant yesterday afternoon. Ciao ciao. Fang Fang ran towards me. She hugged me tightly, not used to being in close contact with others. I tensed up instantly, but realizing it was Fang Fang who was holding me, someone who wouldn't hurt me, I gradually allowed myself to relax. Let's go up. We can talk more in the room. Throughout the journey, Fang Fang didn't stop talking. She alternated between being thankful for my timely escape and cursing Jiang Hao as a despicable man who got what he deserved. Do you know, there should have been no casualties in the fire, but he ignored advice and charged in to play the hero, only to end up with severe burns. He became the only person in need of urgent care. It's just ridiculous. How could he do that? Surely he didn't set his clothes on fire just to play the hero in front of Li Meng, and he had the nerve to call me brother. If that's not about love, then what is? I vaguely remembered something. He wasn't that crazy. The jacket he was wearing was a birthday gift from Li Meng last month. It was made of acrylic and nylon, materials that would melt and stick to the skin in high heat, and were also highly flammable. Fang Fang, damn. She seemed unsure how to judge the relationship between those two. After a pause, she shifted the conversation back to me. Thank God you left, otherwise, you wouldn't even realize what trouble you'd have been in. Are there temples in Yunnan? We must go offer incense at dawn to thank the deities for watching over you. If you had been weak one more time, swallowed your pride one more time, you would have ended up in the hospital taking care of him. He ruined himself for another woman and expected you to pick up the pieces. Damn, just thinking about it makes me sick. Qin Fangfang returned to the hotel room, took a bath amidst yawns, and went straight to bed. She slept soundly, enviably peaceful, but me, I hadn't slept well in a long time, and I felt wide awake now. I quietly took my laptop to the balcony, before Li Meng could delete records and destroy evidence as she had in a previous life. I backed up all the evidence of the deep love that had once existed between her and Jiang Hao. While digging through Li Meng's secondary Weibo account, I discovered messages from her school days. It was clear she had enjoyed inserting herself between Jiang Hao and his girlfriend, emphasizing her own presence. Even after the girl couldn't tolerate it anymore and broke up with Jiang Hao, Li Meng would jump out, accusing and slandering the girl everywhere, smearing her reputation. Standing on a moral high ground, she rallied classmates to vilify the girl who broke up with Jiang Hao, portraying herself as righteous and just, and Jiang Hao as the innocent, pitiful one always being let down. The ex-girlfriends, in Li Meng's narrative, were monstrous and deserved disdain. All their friends, almost everyone they knew, were expected to join her and Jiang Hao in ostracizing these women, or else they were no better. No wonder in a past life. She easily incited an online mob against me. Even though she was the one Jiang Hao had risked his life to save, she managed to clear her own name and morally blackmail many into believing I should stay with Jiang Hao unto death. It turns out she had mastered these tactics since her school days, perfectly honed. The more I uncovered, the more I realized that this secondary account was actually the truest reflection of Li Meng's past persona. She was brash and arrogant, like a little gangster. Looking down on other girls, her mantra was, I'm basically one of the guys, not at all like those girls, I can't hang out with them, girls don't like me, I can only befriend boys. In college, when she wanted to reinvent her image, she switched accounts. This secondary account, used only to document her and Jiang Hao's supposed brotherly love and other close friendships, was meant to disgust her defeated foes. Here, the defeated foes specifically refer to Jiang Hao's ex-girlfriends. Filled with boastful and provocative posts, almost as if saying directly, I'm posting this for you to see, please come and envy me. Last month, during Jiang Hao's birthday, even though I was also there, all the photos that Li Meng posted either omitted me or showed just half of my face tucked away in a corner, like an unfamiliar passerby. She even posted a photo of herself trying on clothes with Jiang Hao, effectively painting a picture without me in it. It looked as though a wife was tidying up her husband's clothes as he prepared to leave the house. The two of them were close together, all smiles, gazing at each other affectionately. Haha, Fangfang was right. One might say, if this isn't love, then what is? This account really has it all. I even stumbled upon Li Meng's QQ number from her student days, something I didn't even know in my past life. Seeing the content she left behind and the praises sung by others in the comments. Her QQ number seemed quite special, not something just anyone could add. People in the comments were desperately pleading for a spot in her friends list, as if appearing on Li Meng's list was a great honor, a symbol of status. Following through on QQ, I found that entering her space required answering a question. The question was, who is lousy? Considering the nicknames her friends used in their interactions with her on Weibo, I typed in Mengyi and got in. The last comment on the message board in her space was from 5 years ago. From those messages, it felt as though Li Meng had established some sort of cult, with her classmates worshipping her religiously, opening her space's albums and videos. I finally understood that the so-called worship stemmed from fear. They desperately flattered her, seeking her approval, terrified by her cruel methods towards those she disliked. She had shamelessly recorded and boasted about her bullying during her student days, getting lost in the calls of Mengyi from her cronies. As a girl, she even secretly took photos of her classmates changing in the girls' dormitory and uploaded them directly to her space. With a group of male classmates, she objectified several developing girls, blatantly calling them derogatory names. In her comments section, someone even specifically requested photos of the class beauty, and Li Meng, without hesitation, posted photos of the class beauty changing. I clicked on that boy's profile, increasingly familiar. Wasn't that Jiang Hao from our school days? I felt so disgusted I wanted to vomit. I finally understood why there was always such a proud, close bond between Jiang Hao and Li Meng, even boasting about it to their own girlfriends. Their revolutionary comrades-like friendship, irreplaceable intimacy, was built layer by layer on the tears and humiliation of many girls. When Qin Fangfang woke up, I was still busy on the computer, not even noticing when the sun had risen. It was already broad daylight. Xiao Xiao, what are you doing? You didn't stay up all night, did you? There's dew in your hair. Qin Fangfang handed me a cup of hot water and then helped me dry my hair with a towel. Seeing the content on my computer screen, she paused, sat next to me, and with a look of frustrated care said, "Why do you still bother with those two? Why do you still read their messages? You and Jiang Hao have already broken up. His death is none of your business." Su Qiao, not all girls are as lucky as you, protected by divine powers, able to turn away before falling into a pit. If you dare go back to Jiang Hao, even God can't save you. No, I don't plan to get back with Jiang Hao. I just feel that since he loves Li Ming so much and would do anything for her, they really should be together. This spectacular love story should be known to everyone. Su Qiao, are you out of your mind? Why do you care about them? Isn't that just asking for trouble? Are you a saint? How much bullying and suffering have you endured because of them, and you still have the mood to appreciate their love? What's wrong with your brain? Even Maria isn't as saintly as you. Qin Fangfang's words nearly awakened my conscience, which had been crushed by a brutal online bullying incident. Of course, I am no saint. There are no saints in hell, only devils. After clicking send, I closed my laptop. Let's go have breakfast. You said you need to go offer prayers early. Qin Fangfang, I do need to light some incense, praying for some divine help for your misguided mind. After the ceremony is over, we'll head back. No, why go back? You didn't even bring any luggage, not even a change of clothes. You just showed up with that small bag. What will you do if we don't go back? Didn't you bring a big suitcase? I can just wear your clothes. You're not disgusted by that, are you? Of course not. I don't mind at all. If you like them, you can have them. Good, that's more like it. Qin Fangfang was insistent on taking me out to distract me, clearly not wanting me to return to Jiang Hao at this time. She knew that once I went back, many people would act pitiful in front of me on Jiang Hao's behalf, employing every tactic to force me to stay by his side and take care of him. They only cared that Jiang Hao needed someone to look after him now, that he was a hero, that he shouldn't be abandoned. They didn't care why I, Su Qiao, should be responsible for him, or why I should endure the humiliation of picking up after a man who risked his life for another woman. If Jiang Hao had truly loved me wholeheartedly over these 3 years, and not consistently prioritized Li Ming's needs over mine, if it had been me trapped in that fire, if he had risked his life to save me, no matter if it resulted in burns or disfigurement, I, Su Qiao, would willingly take care of him for life, without a single complaint. But as he said, he believes Li Ming would sacrifice everything for him but doesn't trust me. Therefore, if it was Li Ming in that fire, he would definitely go, even at the cost of his own life. If it was me in the fire, at most he'd stand in the crowd and tell me not to panic, and if he remembered to call the fire department, I'd consider him considerate. It's even possible that if Li Ming called him at that moment, he would leave, and later justify himself by saying, the firefighters were already there. What could I do? You're fine, aren't you? Li Ming needs me. It's ironic just to think about it. I can already imagine his exact expression and tone. I really don't understand. Why must he torment other girls? Why can't he just be with Li Ming directly? These two are insane. Unable to confront them in person, I searched online for several popular bloggers, seeing their posts about the unnamed hero in the fire, with hundreds of thousands of likes and tens of thousands of comments. I directly sent the evidence of Jiang Hao and Li Ming's love through a business partnership email. Humans are emotional beings, innately longing and yearning for beautiful love stories, especially the passionate, true love that endures life and death trials, unwavering and irreplaceable. Who wouldn't be moved by such a story? The package I sent them was full of screenshots, solid evidence, without a single embellished word. The content contained only conversations, photos, and videos between those two, without involving a third party. Anyone would think that those two had been in love for over a decade. From school uniforms to wedding gowns, a hero fearlessly braving the flames for his beloved, these two really stacked up the romantic buffs. If only Jiang Hao hadn't dated one girl after another during this time and always referred to Li Ming as a brother, their story and feelings would be enough to make a romance movie. Those bloggers really knew how to capitalize on trending topics. After receiving the email, they immediately asked me to name my price. You misunderstood, these aren't for sale. They are free. I know them and was moved by the fearless spirit of the firefighting hero risking his life for his lover. I hope the whole world sees their beautiful love that transcends life and death. Please promote them vigorously. When the wedding comes, the whole nation should join in the feast virtually. Jiang Hao and Li Ming's love story hit the trending searches the afternoon after the fire, not just locally, but on a national level. At that time, Jiang Hao probably hadn't even been moved out of the ICU. In the age of social media, where information spreads explosively fast, the popularity of a firefighting hero soared incredibly. At the time, everyone who captured photos and videos at the scene uploaded them to their accounts. Also, people around Jiang Hao and Li Meng, many of whom wanted to gain fame by being associated with heroes, were willing to accept interviews from various media and make statements on camera. I really didn't expect this level of attention. Qin Fangfang returned to the hotel in the evening and saw the trending search, nearly smashing her phone in anger. Shameless, utterly disgraceful. These two wretches truly have no bottom line. Why hasn't lightning struck them dead? Are they childhood sweethearts destined by fate? Have they been together from school uniforms to wedding dresses? Then what are you? What about the other women before you? Are they just props in their romantic games? Insane. These two are really insane. There's no way to justify their actions. They have so many classmates and friends. Why has no one come forward to reveal the truth? Are they all blind? It kills me to see those two despicable figures being adored and praised by the whole nation on the trending searches. It's more painful than gouging out my eyes. Fang, calm down. Have some tea to cool off. Getting angry over them is not worth harming your health. Su Qiao, have you lost your mind? Why aren't you angry? I've already broken up with Jiang Hao. Whatever he does has nothing to do with me anymore. Why should I be angry? But the way people online are shipping them, it's as if you've been the third party for the past 3 years. I just can't swallow that. Third party. The news about Jiang Hao and Li Meng is unusually hot. The whole nation is obsessed. If they knew that Li Meng is just the guy who broke up all of Jiang Hao's past relationships, I wonder if they would collectively spit blood. I asked a well-connected influencer, what's going on? How did this become a national trending topic? My friend is just an ordinary person and can't handle this. The quick reply came, this has nothing to do with me. This isn't something my dozen accounts could achieve. To tell you the truth, clearly some big capital is involved. Why? It's simple. It's about shifting the focus. Instead of the public demanding answers about fire safety, property management responsibilities, or why a gas company had a pipeline leak and explosion, it's better to feed them a crazy true love story. Tell your friend to see the bright side. It's not necessarily a bad thing. In the era of social media, so many people are desperate to become famous. They can easily gain millions of fans overnight and just by occasionally promoting products. They can be set for life. Nobody's perfect. Tell them to delete any incriminating information fast and to apologize to any enemies. The power of netizens is immeasurable. In less than 3 days, both their family histories could be dug up. Okay, thanks for the heads up. I checked Li Meng's alternate account again, and just like in a past life, it had already been deactivated. Too late, unfortunately. Qin Fangfang tirelessly exposed their ugly true faces online, advocating for Jiang Hao's ex-girlfriends, mainly for me, but she didn't want to drag me into it, didn't want me to be scolded, so she only mentioned a friend of mine. As a result, the fanatic shippers of the couple cyber-attacked. Everyone knows, an unnamed friend is treated as the person themselves. Their relationship is so good, their daily life so sweet, it's impossible for anyone to come between them. You must be just a bitter person unable to get love. No one knows better than I do how little Qin Fangfang thinks of Jiang Hao. To say she pined for Jiang Hao or was jealous of their love, to Qin Fangfang, was the ultimate insult. Qin Fangfang would never respect the men around me. When she saw news about girlfriends stealing boyfriends, she was almost nauseated. A real best friend would think that no man in the world is worthy of her best friend. Stealing men, nonsense. Such news is just created by malicious trash trying to stir up trouble between real friends. She clutched her phone, arguing with uninformed netizens. Too painful. Pea-sized pimples appeared on her chin, making her cry out in pain when touched. As I watched her, her eyebrows furrowed and her fighting spirit high, my eyes suddenly teared up, and I turned my face away. Tears streamed down uncontrollably. In a past life, when I was so cyberbullied that I hid in my room, afraid to meet anyone or to even check my phone, was she, like now, fighting single-handedly for me, alone against a multitude. Jojo, why are you crying? She put down her phone, came over, and hugged me, gently patting my back. If you're upset, just talk about it. Let out your feelings. Don't bottle them up. Why not forget about those who make you unhappy? You still have me. Qin Fangfang thought too highly of me. She believed I was troubled by love, thinking I could truly bless Li Meng and Jiang Hao. She didn't know I was a soul resurrected from death, my heart so dark it lacked any light. Of course, I hoped they would be together, and I also hoped they would face endless calamity, better off dead, never to part through eternity. For a moment, I couldn't help but want to share my past life experiences with Qin Fangfang. but seeing her reddened eyes and the boil on her chin, I held back. What grievances have I suffered this time? It's merely escaping from a sea of misery, a stroke of luck, yet she still felt indignant on my behalf. If she knew what I had endured in my past life, how I died, it would be too painful for her. Fong Fong, stop arguing with others. Could you let me use your account? Sure. Take it, post whatever you want, argue with whoever you want. I'll bear the consequences. I'm not afraid of anything. I wouldn't curse anyone. I had already understood that one person cannot win against the whole internet, who only care about their imagined ideals, boldly claiming, I think he's pitiful, so you must take responsibility for him, rather than saying, I think he's a great hero, I'll take care of him for life. They are generous with others' feelings, then bask in the satisfaction of being a good person. This time, I wanted to try that kind of happiness too, holding on to Qin Fangfang's account, still editing the content. A blogger who had contacted me before with several accounts reached out again. You must have some dirt on them, right? I know, you must have been very close friends, old friends, but no matter how good the relationship, don't let it get in the way of money, right? Can I buy it from you? You know, the curiosity and desire for knowledge of netizens are endless, all their dark histories will eventually be uncovered, you can't hide it for them. Look at the sickly sweet, flawless, mythically beautiful love on the trending searches now. Who but schoolchildren would not find it fake? It's not that I'm dark by nature, but years of professional sensitivity tell me there's a big story behind this. Could you leak some first-hand info? If your conscience bothers you, just point me in the right direction, and I'll search myself. I have the means to choose what gets published. If netizens uncover it themselves, they won't be considerate towards you. Ha. Seeing him previously advising me to tell those two to delete their dark histories and apologize to their enemies, I thought he was truly moved by their love, overwhelmed by kindness. Turns out, he was just trying to scam me, to see if he could trick me into revealing something. After waiting several hours to no avail, he couldn't wait any longer and revealed his true intentions. Using Qin Fangfang's account, I published the content I had edited, consisting of a gallery of over 20 images, all capturing Jiang Hao and Li Meng badmouthing Jiang Hao's ex-girlfriends. Li Meng really liked to boast by sharing screenshots of her and Jiang Hao mocking his girlfriends. Now she's reaping what she sowed. So, Li Meng was never the legitimate girlfriend. Jiang Hao had multiple relationships. The proof is irrefutable. Using Qin Fangfang's account was strategic, as her account had already drawn a day's worth of hatred, with many coming to her page looking for her information. Laying out this evidence was a direct blow to those fervent fans defending the beautiful love of Jiang Hao and Li Meng, whether they choose to turn a blind eye or to unfollow and retaliate. After I handed over the account ID of Qin Fangfang to the previous blogger, I told him, you can have the directions, but I don't need the money. How much content you can find is up to your own skills. I'm not sure if it's because Qin Fangfang is taking care of me now that she doesn't allow herself to be vulnerable, or if she's really just thick-skinned. After she threw her phone at me, she took mine to order takeout and even brought back a bouquet of flowers since she came to my side. Besides the moment she held me while I cried and her eyes turned red, she has been either indignantly angry or laughing and joking around, but the pimples that burst out on her face and the blisters in her mouth can't lie. She's more upset than me. Fong Fong, you should cancel this account in a few days. Sure. Use it as you please. When the time comes, I'll just cancel it outright, and let those idiots who want to argue find no one to fight with. That'll show them. Originally, I really didn't want to get involved in this online frenzy, especially since the cyberbullying from my past life was too terrifying to experience a second time, but seeing the attacks on Qin Fangfang's account, how could I bear to let her suffer the harm that she shouldn't have to endure, if her real identity were to be exposed? The overwhelming slander would suffocate me just thinking about it. She plans to be a travel blogger and internet celebrity. She can't afford such a senseless dark history. That's not for her to bear. If netizens are so eager to get information about their ex-girlfriends, fine, I'll give it to them. I used Qin Fangfang's WeChat to screenshot my own social media, then, with my own Weibo ID, send it directly to that blogger. Jiang Hao's girlfriend of 3 years, before the fire, broke up with him after a fight with Li Meng. I knew it. True to his nature as a traffic-hungry blogger, he was as excited as a vulture spotting carrion. The beautiful love story of a firefighting hero was pushed to the forefront to distract the public, with only a handful of sober netizens calling for rationality and accountability instead of indulging in celebrity pairings. But their voices, just like those of the victims hurt by Jiang Hao and Li Meng, were too small and got drowned out. However, the enthusiasm of netizens has a time limit. Continuously feeding them sugar will get tiresome. That's when you need to slap them in the face and bring this matter to another climax, with capital entering the fray and the heat not subsiding. As long as one follows the trend, there will be traffic. After milking a bit of the fairy tale romance, everyone began to peel back layers of the story. This process was exactly the same as in my previous life. Having seen the Weibo and social circles of Li Meng and Jiang Hao from their student days, I'm not at all surprised by how netizens might greet them. But what I didn't expect was that Li Meng had never completely shut down her QQ space or deleted those photos and videos. Did she forget her password? Good and evil will eventually be repaid, and perhaps those classmates she bullied and tormented have been waiting for this day. However, when I was about to enter her QQ number in the chat box, I hesitated, because in her space, there were many photos of her female classmates changing clothes, just blatantly displayed. If this were to be leaked, wouldn't it be a second harm to those innocent girls? In the end, I deleted her QQ number, but saved some of the photos and videos, along with screenshots of the message board, which I pixelated and sent to the blogger. After seeing those items, the blogger took a long time before asking me, "You're not really their friend, are you?" "You're their enemy." "Yes, an enemy, a deep-seated one. I've waited a long time for this day." After all this, Qin Fangfang and I both turned off our phones, decided to ignore the online messages, and went on a spontaneous trip. We traversed snowy mountains and marveled at seas of flowers, encountering many artistic youths with vibrant spiritual lives. Qin Fangfang said, "Actually, the job I really want is to be a travel blogger, traveling the roads in an RV, free and unbound. I'd go wherever beauty leads, chasing the seasons and following beautiful legends. Just thinking about it excites me." "You will make it come true." "Then, Jojo, would you come with me? We could team up and keep each other company." "Sure. If you still want me with you by then, I'll go." "If you knew what I did, how I doomed those two people beyond redemption, if you aren't afraid of me, don't blame me, and don't find me vicious and terrifying. I'd go anywhere with you." Qin Fangfang. "What silly things you're saying. If you're willing to be with me, I couldn't ask for more. So it's settled then. I'll save up to buy a car." I spent a whole week with Qin Fangfang in Yunnan before we finally started our journey home. Online, the story of the big fire and the hero Jiang Hao who rushed in to save others had turned into a drama series full of climaxes and twists. The so-called love that shares life and death turned into a trashy tale of a scumbag and a perennial mistress persecuting an innocent girl. The blogger was right. The power and curiosity of netizens are endless. They dug up more dirt than I, who have lived a lifetime, could have managed. They not only exposed Jiang Hao and Li Meng but also those who testified on the internet that Jiang Hao and Li Meng are just like siblings, without any romantic feelings. Whatever Li Meng posted was filtered and meant for viewing, but what those people posted on their accounts didn't need Li Meng's approval, especially those things from their school days. Anyone would feel a pang of sympathy for the classmates she bullied. There were even legal organizations willing to offer free legal aid to those classmates, encouraging them to sue Li Meng and Jiang Hao's bully gang, though it's likely they would only get an apology, with little chance of compensation. But it marked a significant event, a warning to other kids not to think that underage bullying has no consequences. A dark past can follow you for life. Now you may revel in arrogance, but sooner or later, you'll deeply regret it. After the incident, Li Meng tried numerous times to add me as a friend, but I never accepted. She bombarded me with messages from her and her brother's phones, hysterically screaming at me to come back and take care of Jiang Hao, claiming I was his real girlfriend. Hilarious. The whole internet knows I'm his ex, and you're his true love of many years, although some called me manipulative, suggesting my breakup post insinuated that Jiang Hao was jobless, mooching off me. So what? Yes, I was being manipulative on purpose. Every word I said was true. Jiang Hao's family is wealthy. He prides himself on being self-made and claims he won't take a penny from his family. I supported him for 3 years, and still, his friends thought I was the gold digger. Why shouldn't I let everyone know his true face? I went to see Jiang Hao in the hospital. Qin Fangfang adamantly refused to go and rolled her eyes as she went home. At the hospital, Li Meng, who hesitated to enter the ward, lit up when she saw me as if seeing a savior. She rushed at me. "Su Qiao, you're finally back. Please check on Jiang Hao. He needs you." Before her hands could drag me into the ward, I fiercely slapped her face. With a loud smack, the onlookers around us fell silent, all eyes on us. In a past life, by now she would have already hidden away, using the shock and injuries from the fire as an excuse, leaving only me to tend to Jiang Hao. Everyone took it for granted, thinking I should be the one to do so. This time, it was her turn, and rightfully so. Wasn't it? "Li Meng, are you even human? Jiang Hao was willing to die for you, and what are you doing now? Are you looking down on him? Who does he need more, me or you? Don't you know, his girlfriends come and go, but Li Meng remains constant. Was that just a joke? Before he went to see you, I tried to stop him, I even threatened to break up with him, but he chose you without hesitation, fearless even of death for your sake. Why aren't you by his side in the hospital? Are you planning to run away? Li Meng, one must have a conscience. A good man like Jiang Hao, who is so devoted to you, you won't find another like him in your lifetime. I admit defeat. I bless you both. I'm begging you. Please don't abandon him at this time. He needs you, Li Meng. He became like this because of you. If you despise him and leave him, wouldn't that be worse than death for him? You can't do this, Li Meng. When a man is at his lowest, the last person he wants to see is his ex-girlfriend. I won't go into the hospital room. Please take good care of him, Li Meng. You two are childhood sweethearts, meant to be together. Your love will surely last forever. I sincerely wish you both well. As I turned to leave, Li Meng lunged at me desperately, grabbing my hair and tearing at my clothes, looking even more ferocious than when she bullied her classmates in those videos. However, before she could scratch my shoulder badly, she was pulled away. What are you doing? This is a hospital. Stop it or I'll call the police. No. It shouldn't be like this, Su Qiao. It should be you. You should be with him. You go. You are his girlfriend, not me. Only then did I notice something was different. The burn scars on Li Meng's left arm were gone. She had emerged from the fire unscathed, without a single injury. Her eyes showed more defiance than fear, ignoring the current public opinion and the fact that Jiang Hao and I had broken up, stubbornly believing that I should be the one by his side. Suddenly, it occurred to me. Could it be that she too had been reborn? How wonderful. That's fantastic. Heaven has eyes. I knew we would meet again in hell. Watching Li Meng being held back, I raised my hand and made a motion as if lighting a lighter, which others might think was just me using sign language to thank her, but only Li Meng understood what I meant. She looked at me in horror, her mouth slightly open, her face pale, her body trembling. Yes, that fire brought us all back. I was reborn too. So why should I be manipulated by you again? It's really nice to see you again, reborn Li Meng. I asked the doctor and found out that this time Jiang Hao's facial burns reached 70%. His left ear was completely destroyed by the fire, and his left eye was nearly blind, needing eye drops dozens of times a day. His back was severely burned too, requiring skin grafts. This looked much worse than before. How could this be? If Li Meng was also reborn, ensuring she was unharmed. How could she let Jiang Hao end up so severely burned? She must think that no matter what happens to Jiang Hao, I would eventually take over, and it wouldn't concern her. So, you're completely disregarding Jiang Hao's welfare now. Great. Enjoy the surprise you prepared for yourself. Online, a video and photos of Jiang Hao, covered in flames and carrying Li Meng wrapped in a blanket as they rushed out of the building, are wildly circulating. Some bloggers have even created a comic version. Both beautiful and tragic, and despite subsequent twists in this situation, they couldn't bear to delete them. But in my previous life, I never saw any of these, because in that life, Li Meng took preemptive action by telling the public that Jiang Hao was a helpful hero, that he had a lover, and asked everyone not to overly promote the photos and videos of Jiang saving her, to avoid upsetting his official girlfriend. She blurred the heroic deed Jiang Hao did for her, shifted all the focus onto me, and cleared herself of all responsibilities. Can you escape this time? I only visited the hospital once, and never went again, just like the previous life. Li Meng also went only once. She didn't slap me, but instead, she cried and begged me. She said, "I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have called Jiang Hao. I shouldn't have asked him to rescue me. It's all my fault he got hurt. If he hadn't been disfigured, you wouldn't have left him, right, Su Qiao? I'm begging you. Jiang Hao is already pitiful. He really loves you. Please don't leave him now. Blame me. Is it okay if I die? As long as you can stay by Jiang Hao's side and make him happy, I'm willing to die." Her words seemed sincere, but she herself would rather perform a suicide in front of everyone than ever consider being with Jiang Hao. Her life-saving grace turned into an obligation for me. Fearing that Jiang Hao would cling to her and demand her responsibility, she published a lengthy essay online, condemning me as a heartless woman for abandoning a fire rescue hero. Although the fire was extinguished by firefighters, Jiang Hao had rushed in to carry her out before they arrived. While I was overwhelmed by an online backlash, Li Meng took the chance to distance herself from Jiang Hao. She still managed to portray herself as noble and great. "Ah Hao, I know you truly love Su Qiao. She has misunderstood us now, and I can't appear between you two anymore. I can't affect your relationship. But you should know, we are lifelong good friends. For your happiness, I'm willing to step back. She is being misunderstood and insulted online. She really needs you. Please stay with her. I didn't expect netizens to get so agitated, now only you can comfort her. After that, Li Meng disappeared for 2 years without showing her face to me until she appeared in the new house I shared with Jiang Hao. Li Meng really got sued, along with a few of her close friends. Jiang Hao, because of the fire incident, was spared by the common saying to err is human, to forgive divine, and was removed from the list of defendants. The verdict was as the lawyer predicted, a public apology with no substantial punishment, considering we were all minors at the time, but after such a scandal, the past of these school bullies became known to everyone in their current social and work circles, causing everyone to distance themselves, fearing association. And they were isolated at work until they had to resign voluntarily. Evil deeds bear evil consequences. After the case, the Jiang family approached the Li family for a marriage proposal, the dowry still being 500,000 yuan. Li Meng cried and screamed in disagreement, saying behind closed doors that Jiang Hao looked like a ghost, giving her nightmares. What are nightmares compared to the harsh reality? Li Meng's refusal to marry enraged the Jiang family. Their only son had become disfigured because of her. She really disliked it. Although the Jiang family wasn't at the pinnacle of wealth, they could easily muster tens of millions in disposable funds, unlike Li Meng's family, who were just ordinary salaried workers and couldn't withstand their targeting. Within 2 months, Li Meng was practically packed up by her family and delivered to Jiang Hao. Their wedding came much quicker than my own in a previous life. Even before the results of the fire investigation were out, the buzz hadn't fully died down yet, and there were still many eyes on them. This time, it seemed the whole country was invited to the feast. Virtually speaking, to avoid marrying Jiang Hao, Li Meng actually approached a good friend from before, offered herself willingly, and even sent photos and videos of it to Jiang Hao. Ah Hao, I've always treated you like a brother, you know that. I don't have romantic feelings for you. I've always loved Lazy. Please, call off the wedding and let us be together. I belong to him now. We can still be good brothers, and I'll take care of you for the rest of my life. I can do anything for you, just not marry you. Really, Jiang Hao, really, if I hadn't been reborn, I might have actually believed you. Li Meng threw her phone away, screaming in terror. Jiang Hao's parents, upon seeing the photos and videos Li Meng sent their son, were so enraged they ended up in the hospital. Yet, Jiang Hao did not call off the wedding. After the wedding, amidst the ongoing heat of the fire investigation and court compensation verdict, Jiang Hao himself leaked the video Li Meng had sent him. While Li Meng was cornered, crying and holding her head under cyber attack, he stepped forward with a statement. I believe what she said. It was all a misunderstanding. I trust our feelings for each other. They can't be destroyed by a mere fire. Meng is a good person. Please leave her alone. Don't disturb our lives anymore. Jiang Hao successfully cleansed his image from those ugly faces in the school violence videos, and the trashy image of betraying countless ex-girlfriends for Li Meng. He became a romantic fool, an object of pity and sympathy. As much as he was pitied, Li Meng was vilified. Jiang Hao contacted me many times, wanting to meet, but I really wasn't interested. Qin Fangfang's grandmother passed away, and I accompanied her back to her hometown for the funeral. As soon as the funeral ended, her 3 uncles started a heated fight over the inheritance, even flipping tables and coming to blows. Eventually, they wanted to slaughter the big yellow dog the grandmother had raised and divide its meat. It was the first time I saw Qin Fangfang cry so heartbrokenly. Then, while they weren't looking, we took the trembling dog and drove away in the night. Back home, Qin Fangfang, holding the dog, asked me, Qiao Qiao, what do you think is the meaning of life? My grandmother, after she got married, the furthest she ever went was to the market in town. She never once returned to her parental home. Did you know? She never even went to a movie theater her whole life because there wasn't one in town. I once wanted to bring grandmother to live with me, to show her the big city, but my uncles refused, blaming me for being thoughtless. I don't understand. Grandma was so good to me when I was a child. Why can't I take care of her and show my filial piety? Later, I realized they preferred grandmother to suffer with them rather than enjoy comfort at someone else's house because of the inheritance. They feared grandmother would be swayed by my kindness and secretly give me things. They seem so nice usually, but why are their thoughts so filthy? Why is that? Qiao Qiao, let's go traveling, shall we? I no longer want to stay in one place, and I'll soon have saved enough money to buy a car. Fang, can I tell you a story? That night, the 2 of us and a dog sat on the edge of the bed, talking endlessly. The dog and I didn't cry, but Qin Fangfang cried throughout. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Qiao Qiao, how could you be so foolish? How could you dare? The fire must have been so painful. Qiao Qiao, Qin Fangfang hugged me, crying heart-wrenchingly. She looked at me, but she was crying for the departed Su Qiao she never knew. Her face was a mask of anguish and helplessness. If it weren't for the good soundproofing of the apartment, I would have been afraid that her neighbors might call the police in the middle of the night. I contributed half of the money, and together with Qin Fangfang, we bought an RV. We deactivated our old social media accounts, changed our phone numbers, and set up new social media profiles. Determined to become two qualified travel bloggers, before we set off, I went to meet Jiang Hao. He wore a cap and a hood, his face hidden behind sunglasses. He didn't look as frightening as one might expect, and I had long grown accustomed to the scars on his face. Why have you always wanted to see me, Su Qiao? I'm sorry, it was my fault in the past. Is that why you're here? Just to apologize. I want to tell you, I regret it. I know you tried to stop me back then, even threatening to break up with me to prevent me from getting hurt, but now you see, it was all my own doing. Li Meng was reborn before me. When I entered, she was already wetting the blanket. In her previous life, she injured her hand because the blanket wasn't wet enough. This time, she would rather delay and let the fire grow bigger, ensuring I got more severely injured while she made sure to wet the entire blanket and even drenched herself in the bathroom. Not caring whether I lived or died, I watched him calmly. As he described the scene, his body couldn't stop trembling, filled with regret and hatred so intense it seemed almost tangible enough to flip the roof. But inside, I felt nothing. So, you were reborn too. That's really good news. But I must clarify one thing. I never intended to save you, the way I decisively broke up with you, leaving precise evidence and timing of our breakup, moving out overnight and traveling out of province. It was all to save myself, to sever ties with you, so, please don't flatter yourself. I always felt that a world where only the victims are reborn is cruel to the reborn. Why should only the victims experience it twice? If the past is unknown, how can one truly aim for a deep revenge? The perpetrators know nothing, feel victimized by revenge, thinking themselves innocent. It would be fairer if everyone were reborn. That would be